Brett Stats Norsworthy and former Memphis Tiger Gabe Kuhn.
Welcome in. Beautiful Wednesday. A rainy Wednesday, though, at the same time. It's always a beautiful day. Welcome in. Sports Time on Sports 56 with Gabe Kuhn. Normally, Brett Stats Norsworthy. Brett is going to join us today, but he will not be back in his co-hosting role until next Monday. Producing the program, Go Tigers 247 writer. You can follow him on Twitter at Bryant_Dacus. Bryant Dacus. Hello, Bryant.
Hey there, Gabe.
You doing well?
I'm doing all right. I hate that it's rainy outside. I love the rain, like when I'm, late at night when I'm trying to go to sleep. It's very peaceful. But when I'm at work, I hate it.
And we're in a tornado watch actually in the area until 7 p.m. tonight, from what I understand. So we'll see how that goes. I forgot an umbrella today.
Ooh.
So I got rained on pretty good on the way in.
No rain jacket or anything?
No, nothing.
See, I don't usually carry
I
usually don't carry the umbrella, but I usually always have the rain jacket on me.
But as the Wednesday, December 29th, 2021 edition of the program, we're always live from the Family Leisure Studios in Memphis, Tennessee. And the first hour of our show brought to you by Lexus of Memphis, the one and only Lexus dealership in Memphis. We have plenty to get to today, Brian. A lot to get to. Tigers basketball ought to be back on the court. I mean, we will see. Nothing's a guarantee nowadays. After their COVID pause, they take on Tulane tonight at 7. Also, the AutoZone Liberty Bowl was last night. It was another successful year. I thought it was a good crowd. Thought it was well done, well put together game. Game itself, though, wasn't very close. Texas Tech drubbed Mississippi State 34-7. We'll discuss that. Also, the Grizzlies return home tonight against LeBron and the Lakers. Busy day today as far as guests are concerned. 3:30, we bring on my brother Alex Kuhn from KGYM Radio in Cedar Rapids. We'll talk Big Ten football. We'll talk Michigan. I honestly, I think Michigan, when you look at them in the college football playoff, that's a sleeper team. Need to watch out for them. If they get past Georgia, I wonder what they can do in the national championship. 3:45, we have some college football picks and news to get to. 4 o'clock, Barrett Jones joins us from ESPN Radio. He's got the Cotton Bowl and the Sugar Bowl, so we'll discuss those with him. 4:30, we bring on Brett, who is in New Orleans right now for the Sugar Bowl, ahead of the Sugar Bowl on New Year's Day. We will discuss with him. 5 o'clock, Kevin Sweeney joins us from College Basketball Central and Sports Illustrated to look at the national scene of college basketball. 5:45, we get out. We'll talk about Crunch Time. AutoZone listener line 901-360-8255. Get in the zone. AutoZone. Also, you can watch us live and message us on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and at sports56whbq.com. Before we get into the Liberty Bowl, which, of course, was last night and Mississippi State got drilled, have to start with some bad news, some tough news. Happened right. The news drop was right as we got off the air yesterday, but just a legendary figure in football, in the NFL, John Madden, of course, broadcaster, coach, Hall of Famer, passed away yesterday at the age of 85. Hall of Fame coach, Hall of Fame broadcaster, 10 years with the Raiders as a coach, 103, 32-7, won a Super Bowl, still the winningest coach in Raiders history, went on to the broadcast booth, earned 16 Emmys, covered 11 Super Bowls for 4 different networks, and he's most known for his work with Pat Summerall, who of course, passed away, I believe in 2013. Very, very sad. And the thing is, when you look at a guy like John Madden, Bryant, he was a guy that had so much passion for the game. He brought the passion out in the people that were watching it, the people that saw him call games, the people that listened to what he had to say, felt the passion that he spoke with. And I just want to play this clip of John Madden because I thought, I'm a very passionate person about the game of football, and it really sort of showed. I thought this clip showed who John Madden was and how serious he was about the game of football.
Behind John Madden's office in Pleasanton, California, is an old Raider blocking sled.
The core of it was football.
To me, this is where it all starts. You see the 7-man sled.
It's the greatest game in the world.
Hitting a 7-man sled, that's the first thing they do. So that would get rid of all hangovers.
Football has been my life, and it's given me so much.
When you call that snap count, you should hear one boom.
Now, playing is the best thing. Coaching is the next best thing.
When you're a coach and you're just standing out here, you can ride this thing all day.
But when you can play it for a while and then go on with your life's work and it's still football, you're the luckiest guy in the world.
Down, set, ready, 100, 200. I do boom, you know, and then you can just ride it the whole thing.
And I know without video, and I know Brian got to see the video.
Yeah.
Without video, you don't really know what's going on. But he literally had a 7-man blocking sled out back of his house that he was standing on, and he was just screaming to no one. No one was driving that sled.
No.
The passion he had about the game is unbelievable. And it's rare to have a guy where you hear his name and it's just synonymous with a game, with a league. His name was synonymous with the NFL and football. And it's just amazing to see a guy with the amount of passion that he had. And obviously, Brian, you and I are younger. Like, we're younger guys. We don't know John Madden, the coach. We never got to see his teams. We don't know the style of his teams. But we do know he was the name on the video game. We know he was an amazing broadcaster. And for a bunch of generations, I mean, we're talking about a bunch of generations of football players and people that followed football know John Madden and what he stood for. Just an immortal figure that we lost.
Yeah, and you know, you talked about us being young. I mean, he was one of the first, you know, analysts that I watched growing up.
Right.
When I was young, when I was first getting into watching the NFL, he was one of the first ones I watched. And then obviously growing up playing the Madden games, he was always on the cover, or not on the cover, but you know, his name was on the cover.
Right.
And then I don't know if you remember this, but early on in like the 07-08 game, he would actually be the first person you saw when you put the game in. He would do the intro to it. So, you know, somebody that even though, you know, I didn't get to watch him as a coach or see really the legendary things he did.
Right.
It was still deep there. You know, I still had that deep relationship I felt with him connected to the game of football.
Yeah, and Madden 23 ought to have him on the front.
Yeah.
There's no question. It just a legendary figure we lost. We mourn today and forever now because of who he was and what he meant to the game of football. And honestly, the people that were around him, I was listening to Al Michaels today and some other people talk about him, just infectious. Like his personality, who he was, what you heard on the air, what you heard him talk about as an analyst with Pat Summerall was what he was like in real life.
Yeah.
Right? So it's just very, very sad day. And I saw Chris Long put this out there, obviously longtime NFLer with the Rams and then with the Eagles. And he said he hopes Pat Summerall and John Madden are calling a game somewhere in heaven. So just had to get that bad news out of the way before we move on. But rest in peace to John Madden and certainly hope that the family and everybody else is and keep them in your thoughts and prayers. Now, moving on to the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Kind of a hard transition there. It's always going to be a hard transition when you have to talk about that. But AutoZone Liberty Bowl was last night. Mississippi State, Texas Tech. And didn't we have a group lock? We had a group lock when we picked this game.
I think we did, yeah.
And we all picked Mississippi State to cover the 9.5. It wasn't even close, man. It wasn't. 34-7, Texas Tech ran away from it. Sonny Cumbie gets the win over Mike Leach, and good for him. I mean, shout out to Sonny Cumbie. He had his team as ready as they could be. The attendance last night was pretty good, 48,615. The Cowbells were a little, I mean,
wow.
They kind of sting the ears.
Yeah.
When they're sorry to the Mississippi State fans.
Do you know anybody who went to or goes to Mississippi State?
Went, yes. Goes, not right this second. Yeah. But they just sting the ears when they're in a group.
You get used to them.
Yeah, there's no question about it. There's no question about it. But I thought the attendance was great. I thought a lot of people showed up. Mississippi State, of course, the part of the reason they struggled, they were down 16 players. Including 6 starters.
Yeah, that hurts.
And not to mention they had opt-outs. And you saw what happened. I believe it was in the second quarter when Mississippi State was driving. Texas Tech had 2 straight sacks. They were missing Charles Cross, their left tackle.
Yeah.
And you could absolutely tell. But Texas Tech, they came into that game, and their running backs, Taj Brooks SaRodorick Thompson. They hadn't even rushed for 500 yards on the year, each of them. They didn't. Texas Tech didn't run the ball. That's not what their identity is. Never was. And last night they ran for 247 yards.
The ground and pound
on Mississippi State. I mean, I did not see that one coming. I got to be completely honest. I had no. If Texas Tech was going to win that ball game, I figured they'd throw the ball very well and sort of do it how they normally are used to doing.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be an arms race.
But 247 yards on Mississippi State in that front seven.
Ooh.
I mean, that was bad, man. And I don't know how many guys they were missing up front, but it looked like a whole lot. They just got ran over. Mm-hmm. And SEC drops to 0-4 in bowl games. I thought it meant more.
Just means more losses.
I'm gonna be honest. I thought it meant more. That's what I've always been told. And then on the offense or the defensive side of the ball, Texas Tech had a beat on what Mississippi State wanted to do on offense. Mm-hmm. Mississippi State doesn't run the ball, doesn't try to run the ball, although they had some success running the ball. I don't know why they didn't do it a little bit more when they saw that Texas Tech was sort of sitting on their routes. They couldn't beat them over top. I figured that Mississippi State would try to do something different.
Yeah.
They were driving to a certain extent all night, but just never could sustain a drive, never could keep it going. And part of that was Texas Tech was getting after the passer, getting after Will Rogers, sacked him a few times and got him a little bit uncomfortable.
But Gabe, we gotta give them Mississippi State a little bit of credit because you always hear it's hard for SEC teams to get up for an inferior opponent in these bowl games that don't mean so. It does just mean more. It's just hard for them to get up for these bowl games.
You know what? I forgot. Yeah, no. SEC's not 0-4 in bowl games. They're 0-0.
Exactly, because those are the games that wait till the semifinals when you have two SEC, because those are the ones that matter. That's what they care about.
Yeah, I guess so.
And the Sugar Bowl, because Ole Miss cares about the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah, because again, the SEC, no team from the SEC's ever lost the game that they wanted to be at.
But not the Liberty
game
Bowl.
they wanted to be at. But also what I noticed last night, Donovan Smith from Texas Tech can play, man. Their quarterback's solid.
Yeah.
He's got some good legs. He made Mississippi State uncomfortable there. But throwing the ball was something I had seen him play earlier in the year, and I had never really seen the arm he had until last night. But last night, I mean, very good game. 15 for 28, 252, 1 TD. Didn't have to do all that much. But he also had five rushing attempts for 30 yards and a TD. But it just seemed like Texas Tech made every single play, and Mississippi State just was not there to make them. They won the jump balls, Texas Tech did. They won pass rush.
Yeah.
They got after the passer. They won their one-on-ones all night, and Mississippi State just didn't.
One, I think, you're talking about the quarterback play. I think Mississippi State anticipated that they were going to use the pass game to open up the run game, and in reality, they did the opposite. They used the run game to open up the pass game and got a lot of yards on the ground, and then when Mississippi State says, okay, they're going to run the ball, they're going to keep pounding the ball, they were able to get some quick hits down the field. So, yeah, it was a great game for Texas Tech. I know our buddy Jay Morgan, he was there last night cheering on his Red Raiders. So.
And Will Rogers, I still like Will Rogers. He missed some throws last night. 31 for 52. He had to throw it a whole lot like he normally does. Had only one pick, but he never really got comfortable in the pocket because I don't think he had the same trust he had all year in that O-line with Charles Cross not there at left tackle. He struggled, but I like what he has going forward. I think that he has a whole lot of juice going into next year and for the rest of his career.
Oh, yeah.
Because he outside of the bowl game this year, it just seemed like he grasped the Mike Leach system a lot more.
Oh, yeah.
And it looks like he's headed in the right direction. Let's go ahead and get to top story of the day.
Top story of the day.
Oh, gosh. We know what it is. Tigers! Supposed to be back in action. Again, nothing guaranteed. It's supposed to be at 7 o'clock, so we're about 4 hours out. They're at Tulane. They're in New Orleans. Tulane's 3-6 on the year. Ron Hunter, who I think is relatively, like when you look at the history of what he's done as a head coach in college basketball, pretty good coach.
Yeah.
Tulane's a tough job, and he has not done well there. But the big news, Jalen Duren and DeAndre Williams were not on the flight. That was reported today by our good friend Dave Wologian. We had on the show yesterday. I know at that time he was trying to figure. He said we're trying to keep tabs on who was on the flight and who wasn't. He figured it out later. Talked about it on Wolo and Friends from 10 to 11. But no Jalen Duren, no DeAndre Williams. Also, It's looking like Amani Bates will be unable to play because of a finger injury. Although he did make the flight. He has been part of shoot-arounds, but I think they're trying to be careful with him and not sort of risk him in this game. And then, to add insult to injury, we've already talked about this. Chandler Lawson and Earl Timberlake are questionable, so we don't know if they're going to play. So, Tigers are going to be very, very short-handed tonight. Now, I sort of wonder what they're going to do with the starting lineup. I think Alex Lomax, no question. Yeah. Lester Quinones, Landers, not given. From there, you would have to think their natural big progression would be Malcolm Dandridge. And then who's the fourth starter? I don't know. Maybe Tyler Harris. If Earl Timberlake can go, maybe Earl Timberlake. I am not sure what they're going to do, but they're going to need everybody tonight because they have a lot of guys out and a lot of guys questionable. Tulane, on the other hand, 3-6, not very good, but they do have two good scorers. They're two Jalens, Jalen Cook and Jalen Forbes. Jalen Cook, 19 points per game. Jalen Forbes, he's a Bama transfer, 16 points per game. And they have really filled it up, although they have not been good. They have lost Tulane, and I mean bad losses to Valparaiso. They lost to Charleston twice. At home and away. They lost to Charleston, lost to Toledo, and then this loss. I'm sorry. This is bad. They lost to Southern, too. So this Tulane team is bad, and I think it's a good chance for the Tigers to get their feel back after the COVID pause, although they will be shorthanded.
Yeah, and I know we'll get more into this game, I'm sure, later, but also neither one of these teams have played in a while. Obviously, we know Memphis has missed their last 2 games. Tulane hasn't played their last 3 games, so I think it's going to be a really, really sloppy game, and so we'll have to see what happens.
Not top story of the day.
This has to do with the bowl season and the continued, games being affected left and right. No new ones, which is, I guess, good news for now. We'll see what happens. Right now, Maryland's ahead 27-10 over Virginia Tech. And the New Era Pinstripe Bowl. So that's the game.
What do you think of the Virginia Tech helmets with the
ugly
NY on the side? Okay, I was just making sure.
It's very ugly.
I was making sure.
It is what it is. But we talked about yesterday the Holiday Bowl between UCLA and North Carolina State had gotten canceled 4.5 hours before the game. It was supposed to start at 7 o'clock, got canceled while we were on the air. And North Carolina State head coach Dave Dorn, who, I've had some run-ins with because through recruiting and everything else, he was at Northern Illinois when I was coming out. He recruited me pretty hard. Really good guy for the most part. What he said about the cancellation was not very pretty. He said, quote, "We felt lied to be honest. We felt like UCLA probably knew something was going on, didn't tell anybody on our side. We had no clue they were up against that. I don't feel like it was very well handled from their university. It would have been great to have a heads up 2 or 3 days ago so we could have found a plan B. Disappointing." And this is what we were talking about yesterday, right? Like, in 4.5 hours, you probably knew 2 days ago if you're going to have the amount of players it took to go forward with the game. I don't know why you pressed up that late and then canceled that late. And Dave Dorn put our point to the test and really went out there and made it very clear that he feels the same. Now, this is funny. This is something funny I saw today. Sun Bowl, which we know Washington State and Central Michigan are going to be a part of. They had to end up rendezvousing there. The Arizona Bowl, the Barstool Arizona Bowl got canceled. Central Michigan joins Washington State. But Sun Bowl officials said today that Washington State and Central Michigan were slated to be the visiting teams at their respective bowls. So both teams brought white uniforms.
Oh, no.
They said Central Michigan had to get 16 boxes of maroon uniforms shipped to El Paso. And they said today they sent those uniforms to a local embroidery shop to get the Sun Bowl logo stitched on. It is a mess, Brian. We're all over the place with this bowl season. We have no idea what's going on. We're just sort of winging it. And
taking it day by day. Woo.
That's COVID for you, man.
Yeah.
That's COVID for you, and the Omicron and what it has sort of meant to the sports world. Day by day. Just find a way to push through the day you're in.
As long as the game gets off,
I guess so.
That's all that matters.
That would be something if they really did reschedule, met at the Sun Bowl, met in El Paso.
And then both played in white jerseys.
Well, and then one of them catches COVID.
No, that'd be bad.
That would be bad,
That'd be
too.
bad. That'd be really bad.
That is our top and our not top story of the day. When we come back on the other side, it'll be time to talk with my brother Alex Kuhn from KGYM Radio in Cedar Rapids. We're going to talk some Big Ten. We're going to talk some Michigan. We're going to talk some NFL. Right here on Sports 56 98.5.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, I'm Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. Can anyone explain to me why anyone would care how I measure your roof? We've all heard about measuring your roof from outer space. Well, to be honest, that's not possible. There are aerial pictures that can be taken every 4 years that can be used to measure most buildings, but it's not from outer space. Besides, no one, and I mean no one, can tell you what's wrong with your roof or even if you need one looking at pictures that could be 4 years old. If you'd rather do business with a family-owned and operated business with a lifelong tie to Memphis that refuses to mislead or use gimmicks, give us a call. Best products, best warranties, and the best service we know how to give. Fiveash Roof Services, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Wilkinson's Liquor and Wine is celebrating their 35th year. Come in today and choose from a big selection of tequilas, vodkas, and over 70 different single malts. Bourbon whiskey fans will find over 200 bourbons and whiskeys from around the world, along with wines from every region for all you wine enthusiasts. Wilkinson's Liquor and Wine, 146 Highway 72, Suite 102 in Collierville. It's next to Captain John's Barbecue. Open every day, including Sundays from 10 to 7 for football and all sports fans. Wilkinson's Liquor and Wine, celebrating 35 years with you.
Hey, Jeff Allen, I hear you're making everybody holiday happy over at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah.
That's right, Randy. We're closing the year with the Gossett Kia Command the Season sales event.
Not to mention, every Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty program.
Plus, right now, I've got 2022 Kia Forte 179, only $27.99 due at signing. Or get a 2022 Kia Sportage LX 199 per month, or 2022 Kia Sorento 279 a month. Both $34.99 due at signing, and all 36-month leases. So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, and let's not forget Lewisburg, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah, 2680 Mount Moriah, or KiaMountMoriah.com.
All 36-month leases, $650 acquisition fee, $30,000 per year, 20 cents excess mileage. Sorrento NGO 92178, MSRP $30,875. Sportage N 7017,625, MSRP $25,815. Forte $84,29,506, MSRP $21,035. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Kia. Excludes tax title license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 103/21. Dealer stock only.
Susan, it's so great to finally be able to get together again.
Oh, it sure is. And I really appreciate you picking up the bill.
I'm happy to. I've got the extra cash. Since we've all been driving so much more again, I've been using Get Upside, the free gas app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Get Upside app?
Yes, up to 25 cents a gallon. Cash back every time I buy gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Some months I make $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Get Upside app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code PATH for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents a gallon on your next fill-up. You can cash out anytime to PayPal or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code PATH for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PATH.
Hotty Toddy Ole Miss.
Boom! That's a way to start it. Wide open down the seam. Caught. Touchdown. Caught at the 20 by Braylon Sanders. He trots into the end zone. Touchdown.
We run the ship.
Corral is on a roll. He's got it to the 20, to the 10, to the 5. Lane Kiffin throws his clipboard.
The Rebels battle Baylor in the Sugar Bowl on New Year's Day. Kickoff at 7:45 with pregame coverage starting at 5:30 on your home for the Rebels.
Catch Ole Miss Rebels football right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Need to sell your home? You're in luck because I buy houses. All you have to do is call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pin, 901 901-406-1101, or just save it in your phone. Bill at I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses buys houses in any area, in any condition, at any time, as simple as that. I Buy Houses is guaranteed to close in 5 days. So if you need your cash fast, just call Bill at I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. Has your house been on the market? Were you just tired of renters? Or is it just time to start over? Well, avoid repairing, cleaning, painting, and prepping your house. Just pick up the phone and call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses. If you're in Southwind, South Memphis, North Mississippi, North Memphis, Collierville, if you can hear this, just call my friend, Bill at I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
I've been moving calm, don't start no trouble with me. Trying to keep it peaceful is a struggle for me. Don't pull up at 6 a.m. to cuddle with me. You know how I like it when you loving on me.
Welcome back in. Sports Time on Sports 56 with Gabe. No Stats. Stats will join us later at about 4:30, live from New Orleans, from the site of the Sugar Bowl, where Baylor and Ole Miss will clash on New Year's Day. But right now, let's go ahead and bring in my brother, Alex Kuhn, at Alex Kuhn 523 on Twitter from KGYM Radio in Cedar Rapids. Alex, what's happening, man?
Not much. How are you?
I am well. How's vacation going? Well, I mean, I know you're still doing your show, but you're live from somewhere else.
Yeah, actually, I'm off today.
Okay.
So I'm off through the new year. So I'm trying to unplug from everything, and I'm in the beautiful state of California. I'm in San Diego, and Gabe,
yes.
we've been here a lot.
Uh-huh.
We've come to San Diego a lot, and I'm telling you, the weather has never been this bad.
Is it like what's going on? It never rains there. Is it raining?
It's solid 2 inches of rain over the entire week. Has not stopped raining. There are pockets of sun every once in a while, but then comes the next storm, and it's about, I'll say, anywhere between 52 and 57 degrees.
Well,
so chilly and raining, and people here are losing their minds. Like I see parkas.
Oh, it's hilarious!
I see
They're out
gloves.
there. They're out there in winter gear for that type of weather.
Yes, full on. Full on winter gear with the parka. And I saw one girl earlier, she had on the beanie, but then the hood over the beanie, like a parka hood. So it looked like she was in sub-zero temperatures, which we're going to see in the NHL Winter Classic, by the way. I don't know if you're seeing this, but they're supposed to play it in Minneapolis, where it's supposed to get as low as 15 degrees below zero, but you would think that these San Diegoans are in sub-zero temperatures the way they're dressed.
It always, well, if you go at that time of year, regardless, even if the sun's out, they're dressed like that. I don't really understand that. Is sun supposed to peak out, though, at least for you? I'd hate for you to go. I'd hate for you to take a 3-hour plane ride just to see more rain. That wouldn't be fun.
The way things are going, probably not, but we'll see.
So, you're in San Diego. It reminds me of the Holiday Bowl. 4.5 hours.
We were going to go to it.
What?
We were going to go.
Really?
Or we were at least thinking about it until we saw the forecast, and then the decision was made for us
4.5
yesterday.
Hours, Alex. 4.5 hours for the game. I mean, like, I thought the Hawaii Bowl, 21 hours ahead of the game, was just absolutely shameful. 4.5 hours takes the cake, though. And like, what have you thought of the way the bowl season has been handled this year?
It's been a disaster, and the frustrating part about it is what's more at play here is it's like this perfect storm of programs that are hit by COVID, but also hit by the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw Hawaii, who didn't have to travel, didn't have the expense of having to travel to the island and put their players up in hotels, and they didn't have to pay for that. And at UCLA, same thing. I mean, maybe they had to pay for the lodging in San Diego.
It's a bus
but the
ride.
Travel, this is a bus ride, exactly, a 2-hour bus ride. Whereas they had a team coming from across the country to play them. And in Hawaii's case, they had a team flying 13 hours to come play them. And they're out there for a week. And then less than a day before the game, just hours before the game, in the case of the Holiday Bowl, a team decides, oh, yeah, well, we have some players in the transfer portal. And, yeah, we have some guys out with COVID, and all of the games canceled. So it's as long as these games are exhibitions and there's that out with COVID, look, I've been very cautious this entire time. I'm not downplaying what this pandemic has done to our country. But when you see, if you give a team an out for an exhibition game where they feel like, oh, yeah, our numbers are a little bit low, it seems like they're very ready and willing to take that out, especially if they aren't the ones that have to travel across the country.
It's indifference, and we've seen it, and it's whether it's opt-outs or whatever. And I have these conversations all the time with people about the bowl games, especially with the Holiday Bowl. They stayed away from their family, and like people could say, oh, well, they got a free trip to San Diego, or in the Tigers' case, they got a free trip to Hawaii. That's not the case. They had to spend the holidays away from their family just so, and they didn't even play a game. So I get tired of all these ridiculous takes from that perspective. And I also do get tired of the ridiculous takes of, well, opting out is quitting on your team. Well, you're quitting for that year. You're not going to play with them again, but you're trying to keep your draft stock high. You're trying to make sure that you can take that $1 million contract. And I look at the Ohio State situation with 4 guys opting out from the Rose Bowl. And if anything, look, I'm fine with them opting out. They can opt out if they so please. I think especially with those 4 guys, they are NFL draft prospects. But my question becomes, if that bowl doesn't matter, what bowl does? Is it just the college football playoff at this point?
Yeah, which is why we need to see a 12-team playoff. Look, problem solved if you go to 12 teams. The NFL, the reason that the players opt out, I mean, everybody knows the reason why they opt out. They don't want to get hurt in the bowl game, meaningless bowl game.
And I'm totally cool with that, by the way. There's
right.
not a
yes.
I mean, I understand it completely.
But think about it from the other side. Why are they allowed to do that? Well, because in many cases, the NFL sees it exactly how they see it.
Yep.
Oh, well, it was a meaningless bowl game. Who cares? Now, if imagine you have a 12-team playoff, and Ohio State is playing Utah to get to the quarterfinals.
Yep.
Do you think the NFL is going to say, "Oh no, he's opting out of the bowl game. Who cares?" No. Then they're going to ask, "Oh, well, why'd you quit on your team if when a championship was on the line, when you were still playing for a championship?" And we saw in college basketball the precedent that was set last year with a couple of players who did opt out midseason, and their draft stock was hurt by it. So the answer is go to 12 teams. Those games then do matter, and you will not see opt-outs very often at all. And because the NFL will hold the players accountable if they opt out of a game that does, in fact, matter.
Yes. I always get a kick out of it. I know my text line is just going to erupt on me when I say this. I always get a kick out of people thinking that every bowl game that gets opted out of is held against the player. No one was holding anything against Calvin Austin III for opting out of the Hawaii Bowl. No one is holding anything. If you're in the Quick Lane Bowl and you opt out, no one's holding that against you. I get a kick out of people who think that opting out of any bowl game is going to be held against you by the NFL, because it doesn't matter, Alex. People need to start understanding that. It doesn't matter unless you're playing for a championship. NFL teams do not hold it against you.
No, I mean, you think that these guys are stupid or something? Like, I don't know. Like, of course it doesn't matter, and of course it's not held against them. That's why they're doing it, and that's why the suggestion of making the games matter well, then change that, because it will get held against them if they don't play in a game that with national championship ramifications. So to answer your question, I think the proof is pretty much in the pudding already. Did it hurt Christian McCaffrey's draft stock? Did it hurt Leonard Fournette's draft stock?
No.
Not a single selection.
And none of the guys from Memphis either. I always get that.
No, Darrell Henderson.
Not even remotely. Tony, but literally, it doesn't hurt any of these guys really at all. Now, if they opt out mid-season after not having, last year, yes, that's a different story altogether. Now, to games that do matter, college football playoff. Michigan versus Georgia is the game I'm really looking at closely. What do you think about Michigan's chances? I look at that Michigan team, and not only did Jim Harbaugh do the right thing in going to get sort of young coordinators, going to get Josh Gaddis, who ended up winning the Broyles Award, but you look at what they have on defense. Top 20 rush defense, really good David Ojabo, Aiden Hutchinson off the edge. They can get after the passer, probably the best 1-2 pass rush in college football. Top 10 rush offense. Their O-line was the Joe Moore Award. They have a lot going for them.
They do. And look, you ask about their chances. They have a shot. The question that I have is, offensively, if that run gets taken, and this is on both sides of the ball. This is both teams. That's why I'm having trouble with this game.
Mm-hmm.
For Georgia, are they going to be able to run the football against Michigan's defense? And if not, what's going to happen if they get into obvious passing situations and they let Ojabo and Hutchinson pin their ears back? And the other way is certainly a question mark too. Yes, Michigan's offensive line has been great, but can Georgia get back to dominating the trenches against pretty much everybody other than Alabama like they've done this season? So Michigan has a shot in this game, and I know that the over has definitely been the trend in bowl games, but I'm just whichever team is able to run the football better is going to win this game.
Mm-hmm.
And why not Michigan? Their offensive line is outstanding. Well, they're going up against a pretty darn good defensive line. It's definitely going to be out to prove something after the Georgia's defense got exposed a little bit against Alabama.
And I may have a different take if Dan Lanning was not going to coach the bowl game, but he is going to coach the bowl game, and he may, if they end up getting into the national championship, coach that as well. Now, on the Georgia side, a lot this year, the big debate, offensively especially, has been Stetson Bennett, JT Daniels. Do you think Stetson has enough to will that team to a national championship?
That's the $64,000 question right now. I'm very skeptical. I'm very skeptical because look, the issue with Georgia for a very long time has been their ability to find dynamic quarterbacks. They haven't really gone after them. Mm-hmm. They haven't adjusted the level of play that they want from their quarterbacks like Alabama has.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama used to have very similar quarterbacks, tall pocket passers, not a ton of mobility, but also game managers. Stetson Bennett he's the perfect quarterback to have if you're able to control the clock, if you're able to run the football, and when your defense is creating a bunch of turnovers. But if you're going to ask him to win you a game against Michigan or Alabama, that's where I'm wondering whether or not he's the guy that I'm trusting to do that. There are certainly, when you look at the quarterbacks in the college football playoff, though, he's 2 or 3. He's behind Bryce Young, but the rest of the quarterbacks I'm interested in. Desmond Ridder, the reason I'm not sold on Cincinnati to beat Alabama, I just don't know if their offense is up for it.
Right.
Is their offense explosive enough? Is Desmond Ridder going to make enough plays to win that game against Alabama, against going toe-to-toe with Bryce Young? I'm not sure. It's kind of, I think he's a good player, but to win a national title, he's going to have to make some big time plays and big time moments, and we'll see if he can do it.
That's the thing, and me and Brian had a big conversation about this yesterday. Nowadays in college football, I really do believe in the playmaking quarterback has to get you over the hump. Now, Georgia tested that all year. They went undefeated in the regular season, and I don't really care about their schedule. They really did own their schedule for the most part, besides that Clemson game at the beginning of the year. But I just don't know if Stetson's that guy. But then we have the conversation about JT Daniels, and I'm curious where you fall on this. Have you ever really been on the JT Daniels bandwagon at any point?
No, actually, I've spoken about him a lot like I speak about Stetson Bennett.
Right.
Solid player, but there's nothing there that really wows you about his skill set. So no, the answer is not really. And the debate about whether they need to go to JT Daniels or Stetson Bennett, we'll go with who got you there.
Mm-hmm.
Go with the guy that you've been playing with all year. That's your best opportunity. You don't switch it up now unless you had somebody in the hopper who brings something different that you're missing with the current guy. Case in point, Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Hurts. That offense got a little bit stale. Teams keyed in on the run, and Lane Kiffin had left, so the offense had changed, and they brought in Tua in the second half of the national championship game to push the ball down the field.
Yep.
I just don't see JT Daniels coming in and just giving you that extra spark, giving that offense that confidence to say, oh, okay, look, JT Daniels is here now. Now we're going to go down and score on every possession. I don't think he's that type of spark that would kind of propel Georgia to a national title.
See, that's the thing, Al. I'm with you completely. I have never really understood the fascination with JT Daniels, besides the fact that he was a 5-star recruit, number 1 recruit, blah, 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 yada, 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 went to USC, transfer over. All the hype around him is better than the actual product. The actual product is a 5'10" quarterback, not really overly mobile in the pocket, not a huge arm. I never really understood why he was going to be the answer. I thought it would help considering, Jamie Newman had left, and then you had Stetson Bennett. That was the only guy that they were going into this year with, basically. So I figured he'd help in that regard. But I never really was fully sold on JT Daniels as a quarterback. Talking with Alex Kuhn at AlexKuhn523 on Twitter. Last thing for you. I know you've been outspoken about Jim Caldwell as a coach. Obviously, Jim Caldwell coached with the Lions for a long time and did a really good job there. I mean, winning record, got them to the playoffs, that type of thing with Matt Stafford. He has been interviewed for the Jaguars opening that has been left by Urban Meyer. Do you think Jim Caldwell would be a good hire there in Jacksonville?
Solid. I think that's an interesting idea. It would just be the complete
polar opposite
of what they had, and that sometimes can get you in trouble. Mm-hmm. That is certainly an issue. But I do think that he's shown that he's a winner. He's shown that he can command a locker room. And he's going to be what is needed. He could be what's needed for Trevor Lawrence to kind of start his career.
It really is, though, Alex. When you look back at sort of the history with Jim Caldwell, it's a crying shame that he hasn't gotten another opportunity.
It is, and it's pretty. It kind of sticks out like a sore thumb now when you see that he had 4 seasons in Detroit, 3 winning seasons, and still hasn't gotten another opportunity.
No one has 3 winning seasons in Detroit either. Like, just no one does that, but it is what it is. Alex, appreciate it, man. You get back to it.
Yep. All right. Talk to you later.
Keep going. You can follow Alex at AlexKuhn523. You can also listen to him. I will not until the new year, but you can listen to him on KGYM radio from 4 to 6 with his co-host, Todd Brommelkamp. Looks like, my gosh, in the bowl game right now, in the Pinstripe Bowl, it is getting out of hand and quick.
It is.
Just a scoop and score
To open the fourth quarter.
A sack and a scoop and score to open the fourth quarter from Maryland, and they are up on top of Virginia Tech 47-10. They're waiting to add on a extra point. But, my gosh, Virginia Tech, whew.
Yikes.
That's rough.
Very rough.
That's very rough. A lot of my former coaches there today, too.
Hate that for them.
Not the former coach, though.
No,
he's already been let go of. But a lot of the
Yeah.
former assistants that were at Memphis are struggling today in New York. There's no question about it. When we come back from the break, we get to your texts, and we also make some college football picks right here on Sports 56 98.5.
This is your buddy Johnny Radio wishing you and your family a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And don't forget to join me for Happy Hour, 11 to 1, Monday through Friday, right here on Sports 56 98.5 FM.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
I'm Brian Elder, 867-0303. Hurricane season is upon us. Is your roof ready? Are your shingles laying down and sealed properly? Call me right now, 867-0303. They say you get what you pay for. That's why my opinion is free. Maybe you've got years of life left in your roof. If so, I'll tell you that. But if I find storm damage or a compromised roof system, I'll lay out some options for you. Don't let them tell you it needs to be replaced if it only needs a repair. Call me, 867-0303. Has your insurance company already seen it and rejected your claim? Maybe they're correct. Most of the time, they're not. They do tend to become more reasonable once I get involved, though. 867-0303. I'll measure your roof from outer space or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Susan, it's so great to finally be able to get together again.
Oh, it sure is. And I really appreciate you picking up the bill.
I'm happy to. I've got the extra cash. Since we've all been driving so much more again, I've been using Get Upside, the free gas app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Get Upside app?
Yes, up to 25 cents a gallon. Cash back every time I buy gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Some months I make $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Get Upside app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code PATH for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents a gallon on your next fill-up. You can cash out anytime to PayPal or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code PATH for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PATH.
Bartlett Small Engine has been serving quality power equipment since 1970. They have a full line of power equipment, parts, and services for most makes and models. Bartlett Small Engines has the best brands in the power tool industry: Honda mowers, trimmers, and generators, Steel blowers, trimmers, and chainsaws, Echo trimmers, blowers, and chainsaws, plus quality products from Red Mat and Shindawa. And they're all American made. Bartlett Small Engine is your can-do store. 6780 Summer Avenue. Call 901-386-9779.
If you want it, we've got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Santa's ready to put you in a new sleigh today at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. And Rudolph's got 2022 Mitsubishi Mirage G4 with 43 mpg highway at $16,612 or $199 a month. Get where you're going in style with 2022 Eclipse Cross, $26,332 or only $319 a month. And new 2022 Outlander at $369 a month. And these are not leases. You own them. Plus, get our stellar 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Get your new sleigh today at Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, or shop online at memphismitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 75 months at 2.64 APR, G4, NHF 00210, MSRP 18,335, Eclipse NZO 44,032, MSRP 28,6, Outlander NZO 43,358, MSRP 31,040, includes all rebates and incentives, PF 695, excludes tax, title, and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 12/31/21, dealer stock only.
This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis. Happy holidays and a happy 2022 to everyone out there from Lexus of Memphis. They are at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-362-8833. Great offers on all the 2022 models and special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2022 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and that makes for the luxury driving experience. 901-362-8833, online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Couple of texts, the AutoZone listener line, 901-360-8255 to follow up. Before we get to our picks, one person, and they're on a litany of different topics. Somebody says, you guys were anointing Will Rogers as Heisman frontrunner yesterday. Yikes, he missed a bunch of throws.
Show me the tape.
Yeah, Heisman I didn't say. I do like Will Rogers, and I still, even today, have said I like Will Rogers, even after what he did yesterday. 1 TD, 1 interception. Didn't have much of a chance behind that O-line. O-line gave up 4 sacks. But, I mean, this texter, I will say this. You're completely ignoring the fact that he threw for 4,700 yards, 36 TDs, and only 9 INTs this year. So, okay.
Well, and when you're in that Mike Leach system, I mean, you know you're going to throw the ball 50 times a game. And so it's hard to say especially if you find a quarterback, the right quarterback, like it seems like they have, it's hard to say he wouldn't be in the conversation.
And Texas Tech did a really good job of just sitting on those route combinations and not getting beat over top. Yeah. They had a good game plan. Somebody says about the Tigers, Minot is supposed to be a one and done. Let's see it tonight.
Let's see it.
Looks like he'll have an opportunity to play with all of the guys down. Yeah. So we'll be able to see. I've always thought, watching Josh Minot this year, while he does make some young freshman mistakes, he does bring a bit of energy that I think is
He
good
brings
for the
energy.
team.
He's very athletic. He's just completely lost out there when he's on the court.
He plays like a freshman.
He does.
He plays like a freshman. And I got to imagine in practice, it's hard to, when Penny and Cody Toppert and all of the coaches are watching him in practice, I bet he shows the same things in practice. So it's hard to put him on the floor for an extended period of time. I don't agree with this text. I'm just going to go ahead and preface this. FCS football doesn't have these problems with opt-outs and indifference. With indifference, no, because every week means something.
Mm-hmm.
But they do have problems. They canceled the season last year because of COVID. So I agree that, yes, every game means something once you get into the FCS playoffs, but they're not they can still have games canceled and postponed and what have you because of COVID-19.
Well, and
they're not impervious to it.
When you think about it, we've seen a lot of these games get canceled extremely recently, and they haven't played in a couple of weeks. They're in the middle of their playoffs right now. They already have the championship game set up. It's in January, so there's still a chance. Right. Also, there's a lot of teams in these bowl games. I mean, a ton of teams.
Yes.
Playoffs, you only have about 30, not 32, about 16 teams in the FCS playoffs. So it's a smaller number of teams that are able to get that, get COVID.
Yeah, but point being, the reason I disagree with that statement mostly is because COVID affected the entire season last year. They didn't play they played a spring season, didn't have any championships in the spring. So FCS doesn't have issues necessarily with players opting out because they don't want to play in a playoff game. That doesn't happen, but they still had a full season.
Yeah.
Wiped off the face of the earth last year, so that's where I disagree. Someone talks about opt-outs. It didn't hurt Jamar Chase when he opted out of the entire 2020 season. It didn't hurt a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people got out and still got drafted.
That was different, though.
Some people who opted out in the middle of the year, I wonder how that affected draft status and everything else. But no, I agree with that sentiment for the most part.
Well, I think it changes who you are, Like, everyone knew he was an NFL-type player. Right. DeMonte Coxey, he opted out the middle of the season.
Opting out before the year was different, in my opinion. Like, Kenny Gainwell did that because his family had been affected.
Completely different situation.
And you have death in the family because of COVID last year, and we didn't know enough. And it just, for them at that time,
that was the right move.
Why not just start planning for the NFL instead of risking our health and safety without knowing what was going to happen?
Yeah.
So if you opted out before the year, I don't think it affects you. If you opted out mid-year and stuff like that, I certainly think it had some type of effect. Now let's make these picks real quick before we get to the second hour. Got the Cheez-It Bowl starting at 4:45 today
Love Cheez-Its.
on ESPN. Do you like Cheez-Its?
I love them.
I'm more of a Goldfish guy.
I love them both.
Clemson -1.5 over Iowa State. I'm going to take Iowa State plus the 1.5. Clemson's offense just does not give me hope. Tony Elliott's not coaching. Brent Venables not coaching. Give me Cyclones.
You're right on the money. I'm right with you. Iowa State, but Brett, he's going to be opposed from us. He's going to take Clemson.
He also took Virginia Tech. And that's not going well for him. Maryland up 47-10. Then we have the Alamo Bowl 8:15 tonight. Oklahoma -4.5 over Oregon. Give me Oregon plus the 4.5.
Mm-hmm. I'll take Oregon plus the 4.5. I don't know if they win, but I think they cover. Brett, he's going to take OU.
Then we have Thursday games before we get on the air. Duke's Mayo Bowl 10:30 ESPN. Battle of the Carolinas. North Carolina -9.5 over South Carolina. Give me South Carolina plus the 9.5.
Group lock.
And then last game we'll pick for today, Music City Bowl, 2 o'clock ESPN. UT Vols -5.5 over Purdue. Give me Purdue plus 5.5. I don't like how Tennessee played toward the end of the year. Didn't play as well.
I'm going to take Tennessee. Purdue's got a lot of guys out, so I'm going to take I'm take Tennessee. Purdue has a lot of guys out. But Brett, he's going to take Tennessee.
That'll do it for hour number 1. When we come back for hour number 2, a lot of college football to get to. Barrett Jones from ESPN Radio will join us. Brett, the co-host of the show, who will not be back until
Brett's
Monday.
Back.
He will join us at 4:30 live from New Orleans, the site of the Sugar Bowl. And at 4:45, bottom of the hour, we'll give you some COVID updates on college basketball. And we talk about Tigers and Tulane tonight at 7. We'll be right back on Sports Time with Gabe and Stats.
Tire pressure light on? Tread low? Car sliding when you stop? It's time to go down to Milton on the Spot. Serving you at 3 locations: 1684 Getwell Road, 2127 Ellis Presley, and 3691 North Watkins. Memphis' largest supply of new and used tires, all under warranty. Yes, that's warranty on used tires too. Ask about the tire rotation and balance specials. Milton on the Spot on Getwell Road, Elvis Presley, or North Watkins. Here to take care of your every tire need. Milton on the Spot.
General contractor, subcontractor, Zipcat can help you find workers for the jobs you're needing done. Contractors, just post your jobs on Zipcat for the price you want them done for. Subcontractors will find the jobs listed on Zipcat and offer to buy them. You both have 3 days to accept and approve the subcontracting job you bought. For the best tool in your toolbox, download the Zipcat app. Roofers, concrete, plumbers, HVAC, painters, download it free. Zipcat, Z-I-P-C-A-T. Z-I-P-C-A-T. That's Zipcat.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Hi, I'm Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. Sunday, today and today only. And for the first 50 callers. These are things you will never hear me say in my ads. Because if you're honest, sincere, and knowledgeable, you don't need fast-talking, high-energy, gimmick-promising advertising to get someone's attention. Speaking of that, how do you think companies can offer huge rebates and giveaways when you use their services or products? By overcharging you in the first place. That's how. Fiveash Roofing doesn't operate that way. It's misleading and dishonest. When I provide a customer with the best products and the best service, and I do it for a fair price, why would I need gimmicks? Best products, best warranties, and the best service possible. That's all we offer. Well, that and financing. Fiveash Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Hour number 2 is here. Sports Time on Sports 56. Gabe Kuhn. Normally, Brett Stats Norsworthy. Brett will be joining us in this hour at about 4:30 live from New Orleans from the Sugar Bowl. If you want to join the show, text us. AutoZone listener line 901-360-8255. Get in the zone. AutoZone. You can also watch us live and message us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and at sports56whbq.com. Supposed to have Barrett Jones here shortly. We're going to effort him. Have not gotten him on the phone yet. I believe we just got him. But before we get to him, I had an update yesterday on Georgia and Kirby Smart and what they were thinking about COVID and everything. They were trying to be careful. Kirby did give an update today in his presser, said that they will be near full strength for the college football playoff semifinal, so that is good news. Let's bring on Barrett Jones, at Barrett A. Jones on Twitter. Barrett, what's happening, man?
How we doing?
We're doing well. We're doing well.
They're all going to be full strength, man. Nobody's testing anymore.
Yeah, did you have a well, you got to get boosted for that, right? I mean, we're not testing asymptomatic players necessarily.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I think I have a feeling when the NFL announced self-reporting, that probably extended into college. I'm just guessing here.
Right.
It's an educated guess now.
Did you have a good holiday though?
I had a great Christmas, man. Great Christmas.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Where are you right now? Are you in Memphis?
Memphis, Tennessee, leaving for Dallas tomorrow morning, bright and early.
Nice. Love to hear that. Now, all these pressers with Bama players, and I'm curious about this because Will Anderson Jr. did the underdog thing. Bryce Young at the Heisman ceremony did the underdog thing. How much sort of media training do Alabama players go through generally in an off season?
Well, there is some media training, so that's definitely part of it. I do think that it's probably more than media training. It's more just mindset training, I guess, for to use a cliche term. Like, these guys actually believe that. Like, they believe everything they're saying. And, I mean, look, I get the Bryce Young thing. I mean, yes, he was the number one quarterback in America or whatever, but, he's been told he's undersized. And, Nick Saban does such a great job of, if the media ever says anything negative about you or, the outside people, he makes sure to highlight it in a big way. However, if they say anything positive about you, then it's just, as the famous, now famous term, it's rat poison, so rat poison. That's the way that he operates. And because of that, I think that he's got these guys geared up. And certainly, hey, against Georgia, it was very effective. And we'll see if it's the same against – I'm not sure I'm quite buying as much of the underdog storyline against Cincinnati. But, obviously got to keep the guys hungry some way and keep them preparing hard.
What have you thought, and obviously with all these affected and canceled bowl games, there's certainly a black mark on this bowl season just because of COVID and the Omicron variant. What have you thought of how it's played out? We've had games canceled 21 hours ahead of time, 4.5 hours ahead of time.
Well, I mean, clearly the American Conference is the best conference, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's bowl record so
better
far.
than the SEC, right?
Way better. SEC's 0-4. They're terrible. So, it has been interesting. I think, no surprise, just a further devaluation of bowls, unfortunately. A lot of guys not playing, guys opting out. And look, we had a long discussion about this the other night on air. We called the Liberty Bowl. I mean, I understand the opt-out. Obviously, coaches can opt out, basically, and leave and go to take different jobs. Why should players not be able to? The thing that I don't like seeing necessarily is I don't like seeing, some of these, like, second day, even third day guys, now starting to opt out of bowl games. I don't really get that and understand that. For me, I would want to have one more opportunity to lay down some good tape against a quality opponent. That would be more my mindset. But obviously, it is what it is. That's kind of part of it. There's obviously some teams that clearly care about bowl games. I think the Liberty Bowl was a great example of that last night. And again, I'm not taking anything away from what Texas Tech did. It's credit to them. I mean, they showed up and they cared. It was very obvious right from the first snap that they cared about that bowl game in a scenario where they easily could not have cared. And probably, if you were thinking before the game which team won't care, you would probably have guessed the team that doesn't have a coach and where both coordinators are leaving as soon as this game's over.
Right.
That'd probably be the team you would have guessed didn't care. And they came out with their hair on fire, and they played way harder than Mississippi State and obviously cared a lot more. So it's just so hard to predict. I've said this so many times this bowl season and every bowl season. I'm not a gambler at all. if I were a gambler, I cannot imagine how crazy it'd have to be to gamble on bowls. I mean, who in the world can guess how these bowls are going to go down? I certainly can't.
Yes.
Every bowl, I think I probably would have picked about every bowl wrong so far. So it's crazy, how it's turned out. But here's what people got to realize. I know people love to complain about the bowls and say they're not what they used to be. That's all true. And why do we even have these bowls? Like, people are still watching. Okay, like look at the ratings for these terrible bowl games. Some of the bowls that are just awful and hard to watch. They're still like way higher than just your average, ESPN NBA game or something, or definitely other sports. It's crazy how many people still watch these bowl games. So they're obviously, as much as people love to complain, there's obviously still plenty of eyeballs on them.
And look, I may be a little bit more new school when it comes to opt-outs. Like, if you're going to the Hawaii Bowl or the Quick Lane Bowl and you're going to be a first or second day guy, I have no problem with you opting out of that bowl game. You've played a good season to that point. You're trying to save yourself from possible risk of injury. I understand that. Now, yesterday, I was kind of shocked because I hadn't really seen it in this sense. The Rose Bowl. You have all those Ohio State guys opting out. 2 star wide receivers, Haskell Garrett, one of their O-linemen, all opt out because they'll be day 1 or day 2 guys. I think, and I don't know how you feel about this, I'm curious, it just really, for me, highlights the need for expansion quickly. Because if the Rose Bowl doesn't matter, I'm not sure which bowl games aren't going to get the level of indifference that we're seeing this year.
Yeah, I hear that point. I do think certainly that would we've yet to see anyone opt out who's made the college football playoff, obviously.
Right.
We haven't had many guys who've opted out, until really this year, who have made New Year's Six Bowl. Obviously, I think Kenny Pickett was kind of one of the guys that kicked that off. I was frankly shocked and a little disappointed in that. I didn't really like that, but that's a whole different deal. That you're, finally big deal for your program, New Year's Six Bowl, and you opt out. I get he's got to do what's best for him, and I get all that, but I still don't like it as a fan.
Right.
I get, so I think if you expanded to 12, which obviously is the proposal, which I think ultimately is going to happen at some point, then there's 12 teams that probably don't have any opt-outs. However, I do think that it probably does even further devalue the other bowls. So at that point, if you have 12 teams that are playing, the teams that are not those 12, to me, that's even going to probably ramp up the level of disinterest, if you will, in the remainder of those bowl games. So who knows? We'll see. Look, I get that there's side effects to all the stuff, and that's just kind of how the world works. Things die off, and that is what it is. And some of even us, Gabe, we're not that old, but like I'm the same as you. Like, I mean, the Rose Bowl for me, that's a big deal.
Yes.
But to a lot of these kids, they don't care that much about the Rose Bowl. I mean, it's just not that important to them. And as much as we hate to hear that, that's just the reality that they care about getting to the NFL, and that's the number one priority right now for a lot of these big time recruits is how can they get to the NFL and who gives them the best shot to do it.
Yes, and opt-outs in the grand scheme of things, I see a lot of people talk about it. How much do you think it really plays into NFL chances? Not that much at all, right?
I don't know. Probably not, honestly. I talked about it last night on air. I mean, to me, like there was some Mississippi State cornerback that's like a 5th round projected dude who's opted out.
Martin Emerson, I believe.
I was like, come on, man! Like, what are we doing here? I mean, you got an opportunity to possibly raise your draft. That's the way I think. That's my mentality. Look, I got no idea what's going on in his life. I mean, maybe he's banged up. I have no idea. So that's not my hill to die on here. I'm not specifically talking about him. I just think that. That's kind of an example of a trend that we've seen a lot, right? Where anybody who's even somewhat draft eligible is kind of doing that. So, I don't know. Again, it's not something I'm super passionate about, but I if I were a GM, I mean, I like a guy who battles and tries to continue to get better and show his tape. But do I really think that at the end of the day has a big impact on where they're drafted? Frankly, I have no idea. I've never been in those rooms, and I would doubt it, I guess.
Right.
If you made me answer.
Talking with Barrett Jones at Barrett A. Jones on Twitter. You're going to be covering the Cotton Bowl, and the more we've sort of gotten close to it, has there been any sort of change in thought of how this game will go? What do you think? What do you think this game will go like? Do you think Cincy can stay close? Do you think Bama can run away with it?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good game. I really do. I mean, again, I said I'm not a gambler, but man, 13.5. At least that's what it opened at. That seems like a lot to me. I mean, I think this is a really good football team. The more taped I've watched on, I mean, it's not just a situation where, you've got a bunch of average players and a great team that all play well together and play above their station. I mean, certainly there's some of that going on. but there's a lot of good football players. I mean, there's a lot of players in the Cincinnati team that could play anywhere in America. And so I do think it's going to be a really competitive matchup. Frankly, Cincinnati probably on tape is a little better even than I expected them to be. I think they've got some real ball players that are going to be playing on Sunday. So I'm excited about it, man. I think it's going to be really interesting. I do think defensively what Cincinnati does well matches up pretty well with Alabama. I think their secondary is excellent. And they got one of the best cover corners in the entire country, and Chauncey Gardner, who I think will match up a lot with Jamison Williams, and just try to lock them down. So that's something no one in the entire country has really done this year. But Chauncey Gardner's a guy who's never allowed a touchdown his entire career against him. So if anybody can do it, maybe it's him. He's probably going to be a top 20 pick in the draft. He's a really good football player. They have another guy, Kobe Bryant. You heard that, right?
Yep, Kobe.
He is. He's a good player as well. So they've got some ballers on the back end back there. I think it's going to make things extremely interesting. I do think that a big question mark for me with Cincinnati is how does their offensive line, hold up against Will Anderson and company. I think that's an advantage there for Alabama. That could be a problem. It'll be interesting to see how they attempt to move the ball. I think they're going to have to take some shots down the field, and they don't necessarily have, they have some really solid players that catch the football, but not anybody that just terrifies you man-to-man coverage, which Alabama will play a lot of. So they're going to have to win some 50-50 balls down the stretch and, make some big plays in big moments.
How much of John Mechie, how much is he going to be missed in this one?
Huge. I think it's going to be so interesting to see what Bill O'Brien does schematically. I mean, John Mechie, just to point out one of the many things that he did, he was Alabama's go-to guy on third down. He was the reason that they're number one in third down efficiency in the entire country. He was the guy who really, when you needed it, they went to. And, Jamison Williams has been more of the first and second down kind of big play guy. A lot of the explosive plays have come from him. But, you look at the number of balls caught. I mean, Mechie was on track to possibly have the most balls caught in the SEC ever. He had 96. I think the record's like something like 105 or 107 or something. So, I mean, he caught a bunch of balls for Alabama and kept the chains moving and, not quite as many explosive plays, but was a huge part of this offense. So who replaces that? I have no idea. It'll be really interesting to see what they do. I mean, look, they've got a lot of talent at receiver, but not as many proven guys. I think we'll see more Jaleel Billingsley, a tight end who kind of a hybrid type guy. He'll probably be a little more involved, maybe some more two tight end personnel type. But it's a big question mark. And I think when they'll be able to focus so much more on Jamison Williams. It'll be interesting to see how Alabama reacts to that.
And the one thing for Cincinnati, I've gotten to watch Cincinnati really closely through the years and gotten to see Desmond Ridder really closely through the years. I think the key for them offensively is, can Desmond Ridder actually go out and win a game against an opponent like this using his arm? Because I'm not sure that the run game's going to be hitting like it normally does against that Alabama front. What do you think of Desmond Ridder against that Alabama defense? And then, I mean, even forward from there, what do you think about him as a possible NFL draft prospect?
Yeah, he's really interesting. I wasn't sure what to expect when I turned the tape, and, has some flashes of really great moments. But I think just probably overall not quite as consistent as I expected. Has some games where, the offense in general just looks kind of pedestrian. But then has some times where he looks awesome, and especially in big moments down the stretch has a propensity to find a way to make some big plays. So his run game, you mentioned, I mean, it's kind of it's inconsistent, but has home run power. You look at the overall numbers; they're pretty good because Jerome Ford has broke off some big runs, and I think Ridder, I kind of think they'll use his legs even more than they've used him throughout the season. I know he's had some big plays with his legs, but there's almost a sense I have in watching tape that they're kind of saving his hits for the big games that count. So I expect him to use his legs often and him to be a bigger part of the run game. But you're right. At the end of the day, he's going to have to throw the ball up in tight coverage. When you play Alabama, in general, there's not a ton of guys just running wide open. That's not that they generally cover people because they play a lot of man coverage, and you're going to have to expect give your guys a chance to go up and make a play. So that will be the question. I think if Cincinnati's going to win this game, Desmond Ridder's the guy that's got to have the game of his life to go out there and really showcase his talent. And obviously, I think that would do huge wonders for his NFL draft prospects, as you mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Other college football playoff game, Michigan versus Georgia. I think this is a really close. I'm surprised by this line too, -7.5. I'm interested to see how this plays out. I think it'll be relatively close. I think Georgia, if they're going to win, I mean, by more than a touchdown. I'm very curious if they can get that done with Stetson at quarterback, because Michigan has a lot going for them. What do you think about Michigan as a whole, though? Do you think that they could act? Do you think that they have the capability this year to run through Georgia and say Alabama and win a national championship?
I don't. If you're going to press me on it, I think Michigan's really good. I think they're a really good football team, and you got to take your hat off to what Jim Harbaugh's been able to get done with this group. I mean, that game against Ohio State was awesome. It was beautiful, and it all came together there at the right moment. But I think that we all suffer from a little bit of recency bias in a lot of ways. I think that's a big reason why we see this Alabama 13.5 line. You know, I think that we're all expecting Alabama to show up and play like they did against Georgia. I think everyone in America probably agrees that if Alabama plays like they did against Georgia, probably nobody's going to beat them. I mean, that's probably fair. You know that, but they have not played that way at all, even remotely like that, you know, the rest of the season, and even late in the year against Auburn played maybe their worst game. So they've been inconsistent all year. The point I'm making is I think we're also in the opposite way, maybe undervaluing how good this Georgia front seven is. I mean, let's not forget, this is a defense that before that Alabama game was being talked about as one of the greatest defenses of all time.
Yep.
Now we found out their back end is probably not quite as solid as we thought. They hadn't faced many passing offenses. However, that front seven is solid as a rock. Okay. I think it's a bad matchup for Michigan. I think what Georgia does well, especially defensively, it's going to be really, really tough for Michigan. Again, Cade McNamara is going to have the day of his life.
Yep.
We've seen how to beat Georgia. You got to have dudes running down the field. They're going to play man-to-man coverage, and you got to find a way to win down there with big plays. And so, can Michigan do that? They haven't done a ton of that all year. They haven't really had to. I know they really probably wish they had Ronnie Bell, a guy they lost early in the season, who kind of was that man coverage beater for them. Now they've had some other guys step up along the way, so we'll see how it turns out for them. But I do think it's a tough matchup for Michigan because of the way Georgia is built up front, really on both sides of the football.
Understood. Last thing for you, Barrett, and Bama, of course, the overwhelming favorite to be the national champion this year. If there's a team that's going to beat them in these last two games, whether it's Cincy, whether it's Michigan, whether it's Georgia, what's the key to beating them? Is it getting pressure on Bryce Young? What do you think the key is?
Yeah, I mean, you absolutely have to disrupt Bryce Young. You know, I think offensively you got to disrupt Bryce or defensively for whoever's playing Alabama. You got to disrupt Bryce Young. You got to get pressure on him like Auburn did. Make him uncomfortable. Confuse him a little bit with some of the looks you let him see. You can't play the same kind of coverages over and over and let him know what's coming because he's such a student of the game. I'll say I do think. Look, I think it's again. We've already talked about it. It's a huge deal. Mechie's not there. I don't think they're the same team without Mechie. They're still a really good team. But I don't think that their ceiling is quite as high without such a dynamic playmaking threat that Jonathan Mechie, was for them. Again, especially in situational football, third down in the red area, he's such a huge factor there. So I would say that, and then I think they're going to play man-to-man coverage on the outside. They've got solid corners, but nobody who's a Patrick Surtain last year, a first-round pick kind of guy yet at least. So you got to make some plays in the passing game on the edge. You got to throw up some 50-50 balls, and your guys got to win downfield because this defense is starting to play a lot better, especially in the front seven. I think it's going to be harder and harder to just consistently move the ball down the field against them. You got to have some big plays against them in the passing game. So who can get that done? We'll find out.
So headed off to Dallas here soon, and then you'll be headed to New Orleans. Is that correct?
You got it for the Sugar Bowl.
Nice. So you and Brett are going to be able to rendezvous there in New Orleans. Y'all have any big, huge plans on Bourbon Street?
I like your Memphis term there, even using a little rendezvous action. Yeah. Yeah, we've got huge plans.
Nice.
It'll be awesome. And, that during night before the game, we're going to – no, I'm kidding. Knowing Brett, he'll probably be the same place I am at midnight, probably near his bed. So.
Yeah, I hear you. He's Barrett Jones. Barrett, thank you, man.
Thanks, guys.
You can follow him on Twitter at Barrett A. Jones. Just a little note I want to bring up before we get to break. Cincinnati DB that Barrett brought up, Kobe Bryant.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be wearing number 8 in honor of the late Kobe Bryant. I thought that was a really
that's awesome.
That was a really, really cool note. And going through game notes, seeing what's going to happen once we get to the Cotton Bowl. I thought that was really cool. But I'm very curious about that game, and it sounds like Barrett's sort of the same way. Bama versus Cincy, I could see that being a cover for Cincy. On the other hand, Michigan versus Georgia, I'm not sure where I'm at. Cincy has the ability to match up with Bama in the back end, but the issue you run into is getting pressure on Bryce Young, because we saw Georgia. Georgia had the guys to get after Bryce Young. They blitzed. Dan Lanning brought a bunch of blitzes, bunch of twists, tried to play games, and just couldn't land.
Just didn't work, yeah.
So I think if Cincy can get some pressure there on Bryce Young, they'll have a chance to at least cover. I'm not sure they can win the game outright. But I'm very, very curious how that works out. Barrett will be on the call there, and he'll also be on the call of the Baylor-Ole Miss game. We also have another guy that will be at the Baylor-Ole Miss game. We're going to talk to him next. He's my partner, Brett Norsworthy. You're listening to Sports 56, 98.5.
You have opinions?
The knowledge that I have matters.
We want to hear them. Call or text us on the AutoZone listener line at 360-8255. That's the AutoZone listener line at 901-360-8255.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to Triumph Auto Sales, where you'll have a great car buying experience. Triumph Auto Sales is your #1 source of quality pre-owned vehicles, ranging from lease returns to new car trades, all at huge savings. Plus, Triumph has a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Find your next car online at triumphautosales.com or stop in today at 4875 Elmore Road. Triumph Auto Sales will help you get the vehicle you want at the price you need and the service you deserve. For a great car and a great experience from a local and family-owned business, visit Triumph Auto Sales.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
My friends, this is your year, especially in the bedroom. Blue Chew can help give you the confidence you need. Sign up at BlueChew.com. Meet online with a licensed medical provider, and if approved, boom! Get a free month supply of Blue Chew's chewables with the same active ingredients as Viagra or Cialis. Just pay $5 shipping. Go to BlueChew.com and enter the promo code WIN for your free month supply. BlueChew.com, promo code WIN.
You don't think about a lawyer until something goes wrong. When that happens, let attorney Stephen Leffler fight for you and your family. You don't leave the house in the morning expecting an accident, but it happens every day. A car wreck, you slip and fall, or you get accused of a crime and find yourself fighting for your reputation. Stephen Leffler has been fighting for you for over 35 years. Don't do it alone. Let Stephen Leffler fight your battles for you. Call Stephen Leffler, 901-527-8830, or go to LefflerLaw.com. Here to fight for you and your loved ones.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli, with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Hotty toddy Ole Miss.
Boom! That's a way to start it. Wide open down the seam. Caught. Touchdown. Caught at the 20 by Braylon Sanders. He trots into the end zone. Touchdown. We run the ship. Corral is on a roll. He's got it to the 20, to the 10, to the 5. Lane Kiffin throws his clipboard.
The Rebels battle Baylor in the Sugar Bowl on New Year's Day. Kickoff at 7:45 with pregame coverage starting at 5:30 on your home for the Rebels.
Catch Ole Miss Rebels football right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Need to sell your home? You're in luck, because I buy houses. All you have to do is call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pin, 901-406-1101, or just save it in your phone. Bill at I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses buys houses in any area, in any condition, at any time. As simple as that. I Buy Houses is guaranteed to close in 5 days. So if you need your cash fast, just call Bill at I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. Has your house been on the market? Were you just tired of renters? Or is it just time to start over? Well, avoid repairing, cleaning, painting, and prepping your house. Just pick up the phone and call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses. If you're in Southwind, South Memphis, North Mississippi, North Memphis, Collierville, if you can hear this, just call my friend Bill at I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Very glad to be back on Sports Time on Sports 56 with Gabe and with Stats. Stats is with us live from New Orleans at Brett Norsworthy on Twitter. He'll officially be back in his co-hosting roles on Monday. Brett, what's happening?
Can't wait till Monday, Gabe. Thank you for having me to talk today and look forward to being back in the saddle when we start 2022. And I just told Brian on hold, Gabe, you know the lingo around injuries and stuff, and sometimes people are listed as game time decisions. Heck, the very games themselves now are game time decisions.
Oh my gosh. I thought, Brett, the 21-hour sort of heads up that Hawaii gave Memphis was shameful. 4.5 hours yesterday? That's bad. That's real bad.
Disgraceful. UCLA should be held to account for a long time for that.
We got you, Brett.
Sick.
I think we just lost you briefly.
Nobody's sick. Nobody's hospitalized. They just did not want to play. It's bad form. It's a bad look. And look, it could happen. It could land in my lap. It could land in my lap before it's all over. And I'll say the very same thing.
I think we just, Brett, are you there? I think we just dropped off Brett. We're going to have to reconnect. But yeah, when I was talking to Brett earlier today, I know he was down there on Bourbon having a good time. Just sort of walking and checking out the scene. I know they're having their parades. I really do want to make it down to New Orleans for a Sugar Bowl at some point. Looks like we got Brett back. Brett, you there? Brett, we got you?
Yeah, I'm on the 28th floor if we're having trouble.
Okay, yeah, we're going in and out. When I called you, when you talked to me this morning down there on Bourbon, what's the scene like right now?
Real good, very, unseasonably warm like it is a lot of places, and it's going to stay that way before the big change of the season front rolls in over the weekend. But Superdome's ready to go for Saturday night, late Saturday night, 7:45, 7:50, even closer to 8 o'clock kickoff for Baylor and Ole Miss, and both teams are set to arrive. That's a good sign.
Yes.
That doesn't always mean you have a game, but it's a good sign, and they both had delayed arrivals. But they're both going to get here today, and looks like we're set to go on Saturday. But it all can change in a blink of an eye, and that's unfortunate. It's so sad for fans. As I was saying earlier, it was such bad form what UCLA did to NC State. NC State had that last year in baseball, and they have really had it in their athletics department fighting cancellations, and they got the plug pulled on them at the College World Series and now in the bowl game. I don't know how many people had made the trip from Raleigh, North Carolina to San Diego, but if it was one, that's too many people to be done like that. And I was saying, before anybody says any differently, I'll say the same thing I'm saying regardless of who does it. It was bad what happened to the Tigers halfway around the world, and it was bad what happened to UCLA or happened to NC State by UCLA. But hopefully, we can be turning a corner on this, and Omicron hopefully will be burning out, and vaccine rates will go up, and hospitalization rates are plunging. Nobody's sick. A lot of people are positive. I understand that.
Of course.
But certainly 20-year-olds are not sick. If it's somebody 80, you got a different story.
Mm-hmm. And it reminds me of the stat I sent you yesterday. Last Thursday, the state of Tennessee records for Shelby County was 1,320 new cases. That was an all-time high, exceeding last year on September 7th. But in comparison to September 7th, there were 664 hospitalizations, 202 in the ICU. Now, when we have the record, 164 hospitalizations and 43 in the ICU. So our hospitalization numbers, our death numbers are going down. Now, it's too early to tell with a lot of these things. We're still sort of learning about the Omicron variant, but it is way more transmittable, but definitely less deadly, and that has been certainly proven. You mentioned that there was delayed.
And that's good.
That's a good thing. It's a good thing. But here's the thing.
By no mean a victory flag planted.
Of course
but
not.
That should be that. But that and you're laying out the facts, Gabe, and I love that. And people can discern with the facts whatever they choose.
Yes, and by no, we're not trying to say we're past the thing at all. But in the short time, more positives is not a good thing. But in the long term, when you're looking at the actual health ramifications and the long-term effects of it, it may, you look at the less hospitalization, that is a good thing. That shows that a vaccine is working. That shows that we're getting less sick. And that's what the idea of vaccination immunizations was.
And we are trying to find a ray of hope in a lot of this negativity. And yes, you and I, we did go to med school. Just read our bios. If you haven't seen that, we did. No, I kid. But I want to be respectful, but I also want to be realistic.
Mm-hmm. And at some point, the messaging from most of the pro leagues, and I know that we can't necessarily compare to college. We're talking about students still in the grand scheme of things. But the pro leagues have made their message clear, in my opinion. Push through at all costs, no questions asked. Now, you did mention that both teams, Baylor and Ole Miss, were delayed in getting to New Orleans. I believe they're headed there today. They're on the way right now. Is there any bad news with that? COVID positives on both sides?
No. I think everything both sides pretty clean. It was just out of these words again.
Abundance of caution. Yep.
And once you get here and you start mixing and mingling in the bowl city with the adults and with the fans and with the trappings of the bowl game, they're going to try to limit that as best they can. But you want them to have fun, and it's just a shame, especially for seniors that are going through what they're having to go through. Gabe, just imagine. I know you probably have talked about it very emotionally. Imagine if your last game at Liberty Bowl Stadium in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl had not been able to go off, even with a heartbreaking loss as you had to endure. But I know safety is the paramount, primary thing. But I think we can all pull this off and pull off safety, and I sure hope so. And I want to, but I love the bowl games. It's been quite a challenge the last 2 years. And Gabe, this may actually be, in a weird, almost perverted way, the market speaking about this large number of bowl games. Mm-hmm. I have said it for a long time. No, we do not need 40. I don't know what the magic number is, but I know that 40 is too much. Now, who wants to step up and decapitate their bowl? Who wants to end their bowl? And in effect, the market is almost ending some of these bowls.
Yeah, and you brought up the Liberty Bowl. I'm wearing my Liberty Bowl shirt today. Wearing my AutoZone Liberty Bowl shirt today. I've brought this up all week, Brett, and since you haven't been in here, I haven't really gotten to run this idea by you. But with COVID and with some of these cancellations, especially how late they've been, and I look at A&M where they said that they were going to pull out, 10 days ahead of the bowl game. They probably could have tested people out within that time. Do you think that COVID itself, do you think it's just sort of an easy out for indifference in some of these bowl games?
Yes, I do. You asked me a question. That's my answer. That's my opinion. We're in the opinion business. Can I fully disprove that that's not accurate? No. But there's a lot of things I can't fully prove or disprove. I'm in the opinion business, and I think Jimbo Fisher is wanting to set on that not too good 8-4, but that number one recruiting class, and he didn't want to go back out there with whatever's going to be the replacement for Zach Calzada that was the replacement for Haynes King, and that season get Marty Moore. That is my opinion of it, and until I get a lot of proof otherwise, it will be my opinion unshakably.
Yes, and there's you think about some of the teams that pulled out of their bowl games. A&M, number 2 recruiting class that had a third-string quarterback. You look at Miami, new coach, looking forward to next year. There's so much reason to believe that indifference in this bowl season has played into COVID being used as an excuse. Now the game ahead of you. What do you think about the matchup in general? If we're talking about full-strength Baylor versus full-strength Ole Miss, which by all accounts at this moment we're expecting, what do you think about the matchup as a whole?
Gabe, I love it, and I'm not saying this being patronizing toward Baylor. I think it will be, at minimum, the second most physical team Ole Miss has played this year, and yes, maybe even the most physical, including the mighty Tide, because we know now what really makes the Tide roll on offense. It spread everybody out and chunk the ball around wherever they can. Now, they did line up very well with Brian Robinson October 2nd and run it right down Ole Miss's throat. And I think that's what Baylor will try to do, and then try to get some run-pass option going with Oral Arkansas native Gary Bohannon, and even their backup that led them to victory in the Big 12 championship game. I've had a lot of people ask me, compare this Sugar Bowl experience for me, for Ole Miss, with the last one. For me, it's more rewarding. You know, if we get to play, it's more rewarding. Going into this game, Ole Miss is 10-2 versus 9-3 that year. Ole Miss is second in the SEC West versus third that year in the SEC West, and the opponent, a Big 12 representative in Oklahoma State last time, but this time the Big 12 champion, an 11-win football team. Dave Aranda in his second year, Lane Kiffin in his second year. We were supposed to open the 2020 season against each other in the kickoff classic down in Houston, now finally getting to meet. And both teams had waded through a lot of NCAA issues over the last few years, with Matt Rule really jump-starting Baylor and Dave Aranda, you know, with kind of a more finished, polished product. And the job that Lane Kiffin has done at Ole Miss really speaks for itself.
In both coaches, when we're talking about off-season markets, coaching openings, they're going to come up for now until the end of time. Dave Aranda, what he's done at Baylor is substantial. How much calmer is the fan base now that the Miami job is sort of off the table and Mario Cristobal took it?
Very calm, and already, you know, starting with the reports of filling out the staff, the replacement for Jeff Lebby is going to be Charlie Weiss Jr. And I don't know that I'll ever offer any names, but I did say I thought it would be somebody out of that Alabama shop that Lane Kiffin had a past with. Well, Charlie Weiss Jr., the son of, certainly fits that. He was an offensive analyst down there with Lane Kiffin, and I thought it would be somebody kind of with that biography, with that background. And I think it'll be plug and play for him with Lane Kiffin next year with whomever's at quarterback. Now, one big difference for Charlie Weiss going into 2022 is he won't have what Jeff Lebby had at quarterback going into 2020 with Matt Corral. But Matt Corral hadn't proven himself on the field to play until that 2022 season, last season. And now Charlie Weiss will have that with somebody new. I think the quarterback for Ole Miss on opening day next year against Troy probably is out there getting ready to transfer in and enroll in school in January and start spring football come March.
Curious, I haven't seen any reports on it. Is Jeff Lebby's not, I'm assuming, not going to be coaching in the Sugar Bowl, or is he?
Well, I've got mixed, and I'm sorry I don't have a better answer for you. That I've got mixed that he, I've had some say he is and some say he isn't. I'll get a better answer and text that to you at some point tonight or in the morning. But I have been told both, but he will be on the Oklahoma staff, and they're getting a real good one. And
now, moving forward to Matt Corral, and there's so much respect. I just got done talking to Barrett Jones about opt-outs and everything. He brought up Kenny Pickett and how it's one of the biggest bowl games in the history of Pitt when you're talking about the Peach Bowl, and he still opted out, and he thought that was not necessarily the best move. But again, he's not holding it against the guy. What Matt Corral has said about wanting to play in this bowl game because of how important it is. What's going to happen is going to happen. I'm not worried about tomorrow. I try to live in the present. How much does that rub off on the rest of the team? And then when we're talking about Matt Corral in the history of Ole Miss quarterbacks, where do you think he is?
I think he's the best. I know that's controversial, and I know them all. And quite literally know them all. And I think he is the best. And what he has done in leadership for over the last 2 years and for this game, it's really remarkable. Now, I will say, I'm going to be totally candid with our audience. If, by some chance, Ole Miss had an outbreak in that offensive line and got down to having to play ranked backups, I think that would be a scenario that they would just not put Matt Corral in, and I don't blame them, and I wouldn't blame him. I don't see that happening, but with all these scenarios that do pop up, unimaginable scenarios, that's one I think people should be, on the lookout for. But I don't have any evidence. I don't have anything that leads me to think that would happen. That's just a proviso, just a warning if it did happen. What he's done on the field and what he will do in his pro career, and I'm with you. I'm with Barrett. I'm not going to hold anything against anybody. I'm just going to hold that guy that does play
no question.
A special ring of honor.
Mm-hmm. And the one thing that I sort of latch onto with Matt Corral, I got to watch him in the Liberty Bowl Game 1 against Memphis in 2019. And he is a completely different guy. I'm talking about not just stylistically on the football field, but from a mindset point of view, from a leadership aspect. I always love to see guys grow through their college career, and he's no exception to that.
And on the defensive side for Ole Miss, there's another one from that same day, Sam Williams. Remember, Sam Williams got a big – some thought it was controversial roughing the quarterback. I didn't. By the letter of today's rule, the referee was correct to call that flag. Sam Williams kind of pile drive, drove Brady White into the ground. I said, these are exact same things I said on these airwaves that next week. I said on the Ole Miss postgame show. You may disagree with the rule, but by rule, the referees called it correctly. The growth of Sam Williams on defense from that day and from Matt Corral is just extraordinary. That day, Matt Corral threw for 91 yards, but you're also talking about the growth of him on and off the field, and it's been there for everybody to see.
Yeah, and it's fantastic to watch. But Brett, appreciate you joining us. I know Barrett's going to join you there here shortly. The night before the game. Y'all behave yourself on Bourbon Street.
Well, between me and Barrett, we might have a Shirley Temple between us. I mean, the heaviest thing between us may just be the straight cranberry juice. And I told people, once I quit drinking, I never drank straight cranberry juice. Have you ever tried drinking it without vodka in it? It's horrible.
It's a good cleanser. Brett. Come on.
But Barrett and I won't be dragging the streets, but it's a lot of fun. I can't wait to get back Monday, and we start 2022.
Yes, sir. Happy New Year, Brett. We'll talk.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, we're going. At Brett Norsworthy. He'll be back on Monday with me, my co-host, my partner. When we come back from the break, got some college basketball news, some COVID news that has to do with college basketball. A lot of games being canceled or postponed. We'll give you that exact number when we come back. Also, Tigers and Tulane tonight, 7 p.m. Tigers return to the court. Tulane returns to the court. We'll see what happens in New Orleans. You listen to Sports Time with Gabe and Stats.
This is Anthony Sane from Sports 56 Grind Time. I want to wish all of you a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Have a great holiday season and join Peter Evanston and me for Sports 56 Grind Time from 1 to 3 p.m. weekday afternoons right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I'm with John Burgos in the alley at the world-famous Rendezvous. John, it's so good to see you. How are things at the restaurant?
Thank you, Brett. We are here and we're making it. I have to say a big thank you to all of our customers that ordered food during the curbside days, bought gift certificate when times were slow, ordered food to be shipped from our shipping kitchen, and then came back down to eat when our doors reopened. We owe a debt to the Memphis and surrounding community for supporting us when we need it. I hope y'all all come eat some barbecue with us, but I also hope you'll support our local restaurants. And if your service is a little slow or an item isn't on the menu that you enjoy, cut them a little slack. Hopefully it'll be there soon.
Thank you, John. We appreciate you for feeding all of us, and we will take that advice to heart.
Brett, we also have a new twist at the Rendezvous. We now have outdoor dining. It's in the side alley along the Rendezvous, not the one in the front. And depending on the weather and depending on staffing, please call ahead to make sure we're open. And we hope it becomes a mainstay here at the Rendezvous.
Mr. Charlie Virgos' world-famous Rendezvous in the alley in downtown Memphis.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, Orco hard coolers, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
My friends, this is your year, especially in the bedroom. Blue Chew can help give you the confidence you need. Sign up at BlueChew.com. Meet online with a licensed medical provider, and if approved, boom! Get a free month supply of Blue Chew's chewables with the same active ingredients as Viagra or Cialis. Just pay $5 shipping. Go to BlueChew.com and enter the promo code WIN for your free month supply. BlueChew.com, promo code WIN.
Get ready to command the season in your new Kia from Gossett Kia on the Pike. All with Kia's year-end push and a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty to back them up. 2022 Kia Forte 41 MPG $179, only $27.99 due at signing. Or 2022 Kia Sportage LX front-wheel drive $199 a month. Or 2022 Kia Sorento $279 a month, both only $34.99 due at signing, all 36-month leases. If you're ready to end the year in a big way, come see Bobby J today. He's ready to buy your sleigh and put you in a new Kia. That's Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or shop 24/7 KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 36-month leases, $650 acquisition fee, $30,000 per year, 20 cents excess mileage. Sorrento NGO 92178, MSRP $30,875. Sportage N 7017 625, MSRP 25815. Forte 8429506, MSRP 21035. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Kia. Excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 103/21. Dealer stock only.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Back rolling. Sports Time on Sports 56. Gabe and Stats just got done talking with Stats. Stats will be back officially in his co-hosting roles on Monday. Brian Dake is producing the program. Texts, questions, comments, concerns to the Autos on Listener Line, 901-360-8255. You can also watch us live and message us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and at sports56whbq.com. Today's college basketball slate. There's two games I want to point out in particular in SEC play that I think are interesting to say the least. One, you have Tennessee at Bama tonight.
That'll be a good one.
Yeah. Originally, they were both on the Tiger schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Only got to play one.
Yeah.
Tigers got to beat one. Bama at number 19 now. UT at number 14. I know road basketball is hard, but the way Tennessee played in their most recent game, I think they have a good chance to stick in there with Bama, to say the least. But going on the road is always tough. Also in the SEC, undefeated LSU, number 16 LSU at number 11 Auburn. I think there's a chance for LSU, who has not played anybody, by the way, this year. Has not played a soul. I think there's a chance for them to get their first loss.
Yeah, and, Will Wade, he always puts out a good product on the court, but that Auburn team this year is really good. And they have a guy on their team that might slip into that number one spot in the mock draft.
How do you feel about Tennessee as a team so far this year? The win against Arizona proved a lot to me.
Yeah.
In the way they did it. But going on the road against Bama, if Bama knocks down shots, it's always tough to win.
Yeah, it's always, and that's something they didn't do against Memphis. But Tennessee is a very disciplined team. I know we talked a lot about that before they were supposed to play the Tigers. They're a very disciplined team. They don't turn the ball over a lot. And so they're going to have to force a lot of turnovers against Alabama. And I think that's what Memphis did well when they beat Alabama. And so if they can do that, stay disciplined, don't foul a lot, get a lot of turnovers, I think they could win this game pretty handedly. But it's hard to beat that Alabama team.
Road basketball always is very tough, especially in SEC play.
Especially if they're knocking those threes down.
Yeah, it's very, very hard. But you got to hope with Bama. And again, I will always talk about that Nate Oates style. It's just hit or miss. It just is. And there's not a counter. You still have to put up the threes. You still have to work out in transition. And if you can't get those things done, and you have to play half-court offense, and they're not giving you open looks, they tend to struggle.
Yeah.
And the counters just aren't there. But the big note here for tonight's schedule, and I had to get you to double-check this because I thought it was ridiculous. There are 29 canceled or postponed games today and 1 forfeited game. So 30 affected games tonight.
Ridiculous. It's crazy.
Man, I don't even know what to think anymore. That is insane. That number in itself, to hear 30 on just an unassuming Wednesday night, 30 games.
Well, and it's also just how fast it's all happening. I know I looked at the schedule on Sunday afternoon trying to plan my week. What games am I going to be watching? What games am I going to be gambling on? But I looked at all these, and there were a lot of day games. I was like, oh, let's go. I can wake up, eat lunch and watch some college basketball. And just one by one, I mean, we didn't think we were going to be here today. We thought Ole Miss was going to be playing. And just like that, their game gets canceled. So, I mean, everything's happening so fast that it's hard to keep up with all these games getting canceled.
Yes, and you just wonder. And I know it's going to be a conference-to-conference decision. It's not going to be the NCAA coming in and saying, well, these are the new protocols. I wonder conference-to-conference what the new protocols are going to be. Yeah. Are we going to test asymptomatic players if they're vaccinated, right? Unvaccinated players, I'm sure, will still have to go through the protocol, testing, masking, all of that type of thing. But I wonder, as we get farther into the season, as we keep getting affected by this, as we keep having canceled and postponed games and forfeitures in some cases, obviously not in major conferences. The only major conference, the only major conference, and correct me if I'm wrong, that even has forfeitures on the table is the Big Ten. But that is a call from the league office that has to say this team forfeits.
That's going to be a case by case basis.
Yes, and we talked about that yesterday. But as we keep seeing these, you wonder what conferences are going to decide to adjust protocol. I think a lot of them will as we get deeper into the season.
Yeah, and I think you'll start – because I remember last year when the American especially, when they were talking about getting closer and what games, are being affected by COVID and how many teams were trying to get into the tournament, because that's the biggest thing. You want to get as many teams as you can to the tournament. And so when we get closer to March and we start seeing, okay, well, these are the teams on the bubble, these are the teams that are completely out, these are the teams that are completely in, I think that's when you'll kind of see some decisions being made. Not a lot, but I think you could see 1 or 2 decisions made in a couple conferences trying to get games made up or saying, that game doesn't need to be made up, but this game needs to be made up because if this team wins, they'd be on the right side of the bubble.
And I just wonder when we're talking about asymptomatic vaccinated players, even boosted players. John Calipari at Kentucky said his team's 100% boosted, so they're not going to test asymptomatic players. I wonder how many teams follow suit with that type of protocol. I am curious to see how this plays out. Because 30 games being affected is a whole lot. Now tonight, Tigers back in action. 5-4 at Tulane in New Orleans against Tulane, who's 3-6. Ron Hunter, I think, is a good coach, but hasn't really got it done there at Tulane. Tulane is just a bad team.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. Lost to Valpo, Charleston twice, Toledo, and Southern. What do you expect out of this game, Brian? I expect sloppiness because both teams are coming off COVID pauses. And when you look at the Tigers, missing a lot tonight.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to tell what you think is going to happen with Tulane just because they haven't played in a while. But they have a really good turnover margin. They force a lot of turnovers. They don't turn the ball over as much. I think it's somewhere between, I think they force about 16 and they turn the ball over about 12. So it's pretty good. So I think that's going to be the biggest thing is how do the Tigers come out missing a few of their key guys?
Yep.
Or are they going to turn the ball over a lot early? Because they could get into some trouble if they do that.
The bright spot of missing these guys, DeAndre Williams and Jalen Durden, if there is a bright spot at all,
yeah.
you get to take a look at other guys.
Oh, yeah.
You get to see who can help you down the stretch of the season. What does that rotation look like? Who's a part of it down the stretch? You get a longer look at Josh Minot. You get a longer look at Malcolm Dandridge. What can he do with extended minutes? So that's the positive I would look at if you're looking at any positive tonight.
Also, I think you look at it as, I think Tulane's going to give you a good test. But I think if you're trying to get a bright spot, you're glad that those guys are missing this game and not missing a Wichita State game or something like that, or a Houston.
There's no question. Once you get into Wichita State and Cincinnati and you're on the road against those teams, against Houston, you do not want to be missing Jalen Durden and DeAndre Williams. They're way, way, way too important to that team to be missing for important games. That'll do it for hour number 2, though. We come back for hour number 3. We start off with Kevin Sweeney from College Basketball Central and Sports Illustrated on the national scene of college basketball. 5:30, we talk some Grizzlies and some NBA. 5:45, we get out with Taco Bell Crunch Time. You're listening to Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 98.5.
I'm Brian Elder, 867-0303. Hurricane season is upon us. Is your roof ready? Are your shingles laying down and sealed properly? Call me right now, 867-0303. They say you get what you pay for. That's why my opinion is free. Maybe you've got years of life left in your roof. If so, I'll tell you that. But if I find storm damage or a compromised roof system, I'll lay out some options for you. Don't let them tell you it needs to be replaced if it only needs a repair. Call me, 867-0303. Has your insurance company already seen it and rejected your claim? Maybe they're correct. Most of the time, they're not. They do tend to become more reasonable once I get involved, though. 867-0303. I'll measure your roof from outer space or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Susan, it's so great to finally be able to get together again.
Oh, it sure is. And I really appreciate you picking up the bill.
I'm happy to. I've got the extra cash. Since we've all been driving so much more again, I've been using Get Upside, the free gas app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Get Upside app?
Yes, up to 25 cents a gallon. Cash back every time I buy gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Some months I make $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Get Upside app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code PATH for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents a gallon on your next fill-up. You can cash out anytime to PayPal or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code PATH for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PATH.
Need to sell your home? You're in luck because I buy houses. All you have to do is call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that PIN, 901-406-1101, or just save it in your phone. Bill at I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses buys houses in any area, in any condition, at any time. As simple as that. I Buy Houses is guaranteed to close in 5 days. So if you need your cash fast, just call Bill at I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. Has your house been on the market? Were you just tired of renters? Or is it just time to start over? Well, avoid repairing, cleaning, painting, and prepping your house. Just pick up the phone and call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses. If you're in Southwind, South Memphis, North Mississippi, North Memphis, Collierville, if you can hear this, just call my friend Bill at I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Well, it started out down a dirty road.
Hour number 3 is upon us on Sports Time on Sports 56. Gabe Kuhn with you. Brett Stats Norsworthy will be back on Monday, January 3rd, producing the program. Executive producer extraordinaire, Bryant Dacus, at Bryant_Dacus on Twitter if you want to follow him. AutoZone listener line 901-360-8255. Send your questions, comments, concerns there. Get in the zone, AutoZone. You can also watch us live and message us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and at sports56whbq.com. We go ahead and bring in our friend from College Basketball Central and Sports Illustrated, Kevin Sweeney, at CBB_Central on Twitter. Kevin, how are you?
Good, man. Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Did you have a good holiday?
Absolutely, I did.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Now, I hate to start with COVID because but it really is. I mean, I saw today on the schedule, 29 games affected, either canceled or postponed. 1 game forfeited in the Northeastern Conference, but 30 games fully affected by COVID. Do you think that at any point during this season we'll have somebody step up and try to get a uniform policy? Because last year and in years, past with dealing with COVID, I mean, the uneven sort of conference play, the number of games, that has caused issues when we get around to NCAA tournament time.
Yeah, it's getting messy. I think one thing that's really challenging is that at least last year, the schedules were built for them to be moved around. Whether it was leagues adding extra weeks in there, some leagues did the back-to-back scheduling where you essentially play one team in the same city 2 times. That would be your play against that team for the season. So the schedule was a lot more flexible. Right now, the schedules are built like a normal season, and they're getting disrupted like a COVID season. So lots of stuff that's getting worked out. I think the timing of all of this happening right around Christmas doesn't help because the presidents and the ADs and all these, they're people too, and they have family gatherings and vacations and things that they're trying to work around. So I do think in the next couple of weeks we'll have a little bit more clarity on protocols. I don't necessarily expect the NCAA to take too much of a lead. I will say that the one thing the NCAA was working on was they were working with the CDC to try to get the isolation period for those who test positive shortened, and that did actually happen this week. That will help. That will mean that teams are out for 5 to 7 days instead of 10 when they have all their players test positive, which is growing, seemingly happening every time a team tests positive. Right now, when I talk to teams around the country, if you have 1 positive, you have 8, you have 9, you have 10. I mean, there's a team that I know of that has every single player and coach positive right now.
Wow.
And I think 2 people have symptoms in the CI program. Like, that's just kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah, and I think I saw the news yesterday about John Calipari saying that his team boosted, so now they're only testing symptomatic players, which I think at some point I would imagine conference by conference, institution by institution, more people are going to start going down that route of just testing symptomatic players. Now, there was an interesting thing. We were waiting on the Big Ten for a while for their forfeiture policy because they were hardcore, stood in ground on forfeits for a team that could not participate. But they've adjusted it, and it's all going to be based off the league office and what they decide the game should be. It could be a forfeit, no contest. They could reschedule it. Rescheduling will be done by the Big Ten office. Do you think that this kind of puts the Kevin Warren and the Big Ten in a precarious situation after sort of what happened with the cancellation of the football season in 2020 and everything else?
Yeah, and you also have to remember last year there was some controversy about who actually won the Big Ten basketball season with Michigan and Illinois, and the way that the rules were written was that Michigan won it, but Illinois had the head-to-head win, and there was also stuff. So, I mean, there's already some questions there. I don't think that there's going to be a ton with the league office getting involved, and they're going to stay as away from things as possible, and that goes for all leagues, not just the Big Ten. I think the thing that will get really interesting is I think what the reason for leagues leaving the forfeit option open, and some of them are like the Big Ten, is because they want to take away some of the gamesmanship. Without a doubt right now, there is gamesmanship going on where coaches saying, oh, well, we're without our best player, but we have 8 guys. We could play, but we don't want to play, so we're canceling, and they're making up an excuse why. They're trying to avoid that, but I think for the most part, the league offices are going to be pretty toothless on this stuff because it's hard to set a precedent of, oh, we're going to make this team forfeit and this team not. So I don't think it's going to wind up becoming too big of a factor, but certainly, Kevin Warren will be under the microscope because he has been for pretty much every COVID issue so far.
Yep, talking to Kevin Sweeney at CBB_Central on Twitter. Now, to actual basketball on the court. Houston has had some issues this year. When we're talking about the AAC, we're here in Memphis. We're dealing with the Tigers all the time. Houston, who early in the season looked fantastic. Some good wins on their resume. Close loss to Alabama on their resume. They lost Traymon Mark for the year and then now lost Marcus Sasser for the year. How much do you think this sort of affects that basketball team and how they'll be viewed come NCAA tournament time?
I mean, it's huge. And Kyler Edwards as well. He'll be back this season, but he has an ankle sprain. He's in a boot right now. He won't play this weekend, it doesn't sound like. So they've got some significant issues in the backcourt because those are arguably your 3 best ball handlers. I think Edwards will be back, and he'll help with Jamal Shedd, who's been solid at point guard for them. But you can't overstate the loss of Sasser. He's a fringe All-American. He's an incredible shot maker. And, I think it brings Houston down a peg. Look, I still am a tremendous believer in any Kelvin Sampson team because I know they're going to defend. I know they're going to rebound. I know they're going to play incredibly hard. But without those 2 guys in Mark and Sasser, the talent level takes a real hit. And this looks more to me like a back half of the top 25, so maybe even outside the top 25 team comparative to at the time, I think before losing Sasser, I still thought this was a top 10 club. So a tremendous loss and really blows wide open the AAC race with UCF's been in the mix. I think Memphis certainly still, the door not closed to them making a run. SMU, Cincinnati, Wichita, it feels wide open all of a sudden. It didn't a week ago at this time.
And who are the teams you think that could? I mean, Memphis. When you look at Memphis, it seems like they would be the rational answer with all the talent that they have on their roster. But outside of them, who do you think is most likely to step up with Houston being down like this?
I'm sort of drinking the UCF Kool-Aid right now. Mm-hmm. They're older with Darius Perry at point guard and Mahan on the wing. CJ Walker's been really good for them, the kid from Oregon. So I think they have the nice combination of athleticism and talent level, but also, senior and veteran experience that will play well. And if there isn't an elite team in this conference, being the oldest team can be a fruitful endeavor. And I think right now UCF has that in their bag.
So with Memphis and what they have left on it's just conference schedule at this point, losing the Tennessee game, there's no question that was terrible. With Houston down, how likely do you think it is that they get into a situation where they don't win the AAC championship in the AAC tournament and actually get into the big dance?
Well, I think there's a path. It got a little bit narrower because now that Houston, you're likely not getting quite as good a resume opportunity against Houston. But I think any shrinking of that path has grown in the fact that now you don't have to beat Houston in a conference tournament to get an automatic bid, right? So I think it's kind of a wash in the grand scheme of their NCAA tournament hopes. I still think they got to put up a number. They got to put up a 13-5, a 14-4, and I do think one thing to monitor is with these COVID issues, right? Yeah. The fewer games is not a good thing for Memphis. If Memphis plays 14 conference games instead of 18 because other teams get canceled or they get canceled again, God forbid, that's a significant issue. Memphis needs as many data points as they can at this point to erase the memories of Georgia and Mississippi and Murray State. you want to get rid of those. You don't want those being more salient, and the fewer games you play, the more they are.
So, into the SEC, another team we follow very closely is Tennessee, and that Arizona win was fantastic. But they visit Bama tonight. How much higher after that Arizona win is your confidence in UT and Rick Barnes and Kennedy Chandler?
I'm a believer precisely because Kennedy Chandler didn't play that well in that game, and they still won against an elite Arizona team, and the Arizona team is a huge believer in. I mean, Kennedy didn't shoot it great, but he managed the game, and John Fulkerson at the game of his life. He was outstanding and did it against a Arizona front court that has taken Hunter Dickinson out of the game, that has taken Kofi Coburn out of the game. They couldn't shut down John Fulkerson that day, and certainly foul trouble was a big part of that. But you can't overstate the job that Fulkerson did in that win, and it makes me really believe that this Tennessee team can be a SEC championship caliber team. I think they're right there. I think certainly Fulkerson's performance gives you confidence that he can handle an Oscar Tshiebwe at Kentucky, and certainly this test tonight against Alabama will be a heavyweight fight for SEC superiority. If you remember last year, Alabama beating Tennessee in Knoxville very early in the season was the first true warning sign that Alabama was going to go win the league. I think tonight's game between those two teams is a similar kind of early pole position type victory for either team.
And then the other game, LSU, who's still undefeated, haven't really played much on their schedule. They're number 16 right now. They're visiting Auburn. Do you think this is the perfect situation for LSU to be handed their first loss?
It feels like it. I mean, I love this Auburn team. I think with Jabari Smith and his ability to shoot just over the defense, and then their guards who are so competitive and great with the ball. And that atmosphere at Auburn has become one of the premier atmospheres in college basketball when it's a big game like this. And I expect that place to be rocking. I think it's be close. I think LSU's defense will keep the score down. I'm just not sure they'll be able to score enough in a game of this magnitude. They're still kind of, I think, finding their offensive identity. They've got some younger guys in the backcourt, and so I think that's the reason they take the loss. But I think I'm an LSU believer at this point with the way that they guard and how athletic and long they are.
In Auburn right now, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe they're the highest ranked SEC program at number 11. Do you think that they're worthy of that ranking? Do you think that they are the best team in the SEC?
I'm not sure I'm there yet, but I'm also not sure I have supreme confidence that anyone right now is the best team. Like, you could sell me on Tennessee. I think if you made me pick today, I would say probably Tennessee. But look, I was out on Kentucky 2 weeks ago, and then they've looked like world beaters since. And Auburn gets an opportunity to impress me tonight. So my answer might change by tomorrow.
Yeah, of course, I get you. That's why they play the games now. Are there any teams that are in the early going in their non-con struggled a little bit that fell off that you think will be there, no doubt, by the end of the season, by tournament time?
I'm not selling all my Michigan stock. Okay. Michigan has had a really weird year, right? They lost Keaton Hall early. They should have won that game. Got blown out by Arizona before we knew Arizona was good. They got blown out by North Carolina. They lost at home to Minnesota. The numbers just don't back up the fact that they're as bad as their record says they are right now. Like the advanced metrics and stuff say this team is good. I think they have some issues to work out on offense, but I'm just enough of a believer in Juwan Howard as a coach that I would not be surprised if this Michigan team is in the top 20 and kick and really feisty come March, and winds up being a couple seeds lower than they should be come tournament time because of this early struggle.
What do you think of the top of the sport this year? Do you think it's sort of on par with what we've seen in the past, or do you think it's a little bit down, a little bit up? Where are you at on sort of the top of the sport so far through the non-conference?
I think there is a 6 to 7 teams here at the top that all look like worthy one seeds in a normal year. So I would say a little stronger than normal. There isn't a true number one, a true elite team like we saw with Baylor and Gonzaga last year. I think Kansas 2 years ago before COVID shut them down was in that conversation. I think there's right now 6 or 7 really good basketball teams. I think Duke is the best when they're at their best, but Duke is going to be at their best the least often, I think, of the top 6 or 7. So there's a nice top tier emerging. I think that's fun. That's great for the sport because you have these great showcase games for all of them on any given night. Some of them have played each other already, and certainly we'll see more of those matchups in conference play into March.
And you bring up Duke, and it's just weird to even look through, conference standings and seeing who's ranked. They're at number 2. They're the only team ranked in the ACC. What the hell is going on with the ACC this year, Kevin?
It's crazy. I think a lot of it is coaching, right? You think of the ACC over the years and all the elite coaches there are, and right now, the coaching talent has drained out a little bit. Obviously, losing Roy Williams, losing Rick Pitino at Louisville from a couple years back, dating now, but and then you combine that with Virginia being down talent wise, and there's only so much Tony Bennett can do X's and O's wise to overcome that. And Florida State's down a little bit talent wise, and there's only so much Leonard Hamilton can do to overcome that. So you were already looking at sort of a talent drain with from a coaching perspective, and then all of a sudden you lose you lose some of your normally elite teams. They weaken, and you've got a really weak league right now. Like, there's one team that is a guaranteed NCAA tournament team in the ACC right now, and it's Duke. North Carolina is not a lock right now to get there. They've got work to do. So it's going to be anyone's game. Duke could really post the number. They could go 16-2 or something in this league right now. That doesn't feel out of the question. They are as strong a favorite in a conference as there is right now in the sport.
Last thing here, and it goes to the Big Ten. I'm curious about how you feel. We talk about blue bloods all the time. You just brought up coaching and how there's been sort of transitions there in the ACC. Where there hasn't been a transition is at Michigan State. And Michigan State coming into the year, I don't know if anybody had these high hopes for Tom Izzo's team, but Tom Izzo is Tom Izzo. He does what he does. They are a top 10 team now. How bought in are you to what they're doing early this year?
Well, they got a guard. Their last couple games, they have not played very well on the defensive end. But they've been, certainly exceeding my expectations. They're just together. Last year, I talked to Gabe Brown and Malik Hall about this at Big Ten Media Day, and they were like, yeah, last year we never really built bonds as a team because of COVID. We weren't around each other. We went back to our apartment after practices. We were just a bunch of guys playing. This year, we're not. We're a team, and I think you've seen that with their play. They don't have one superstar, but they're a very cohesive unit, and they have enough talent to go win games. So, I think they're a factor in the Big Ten. I think Purdue is kind of a tier ahead of them, but we'll see. They have a couple big road tests coming up in the first week of Big Ten play with at Northwestern, who's been feisty, and then at Michigan. They win those two games. The conversation about this team as a top 10 caliber club will really start to take off.
Yeah, and I know it's always going to be a fluid conversation, but with Northwestern, I mean, that is not a overly proud basketball program, but they've been really good through the early going. I mean, do you think that's a tournament team?
As an alum, I would love to say it is. Personally, I think they're probably an NIT team, but
right.
Pete Nance, man, he's been incredible to watch. If you want to watch a great story, Larry's son, Larry Jr.'s brother, he has developed so much, and he's a potential NBA player. So he's been fun. Gives the Wildcats a chance.
Yep, absolutely. Kevin, appreciate it as always. Have a happy New Year.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks, Kevin. At CBB_Central on Twitter. When we come back, we're going to get to an early break. When we come back, we have a lot to talk about in the NBA. Grizzlies versus the Lakers tonight. They return from their West Coast road trip. They couldn't be at home if they're on the West Coast. But West Coast road trip, they'll be at home tonight versus the Lakers. And LeBron played a different role last night, by the way, in their win versus the Rockets. We'll talk about that. We'll do that when we come back on Sports 56 95.
Peter Edmiston and Anthony Sane bring you Sports 56 Grind Time. Brought to you by Poultry Power. Weekdays from 1 to 3 on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
FanDuel Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL. That means you can place all your bets on a trustworthy app that's also easy to use. Basketball fans, celebrate the NBA's 75th anniversary season on FanDuel Sportsbook too. Right now, new customers can place their first bet risk-free, and if you don't win, you'll get up to $1,000 back. Already have a FanDuel Sportsbook account? FanDuel's hooking up all customers with $50 when you refer a friend, plus your friend will get $50 as well. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and sign up using promo code CASH to get your first bet risk-free up to $1,000 and make every moment more this NBA season. Must be 21 and older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
My friends, this is your year, especially in the bedroom. Blue Chew can help give you the confidence you need. Sign up at BlueChew.com. Meet online with a licensed medical provider, and if approved, boom! Get a free month supply of Blue Chew's chewables with the same active ingredients as Viagra or Cialis. Just pay $5 shipping. Go to BlueChew.com and enter the promo code WIN for your free month supply. BlueChew.com, promo code WIN.
Hey, Jeff Allen, I hear you're making everybody holiday happy over at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah.
That's right, Randy. We're closing the year with the Gossett Kia Command the Season sales event.
Not to mention, every Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty program.
Plus, right now, I've got 2022 Kia Forte 179, only $27.99 due at signing. Or get a 2022 Kia Sportage LX 199 per month, or 2022 Kia Sorento 279 a month. Both $34.99 due at signing, and all 36-month leases. So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, and let's not forget Lewisburg, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah, 2680 Mount Moriah, or KiaMountMoriah.com.
All 36-month leases, $650 acquisition fee, $30,000 per year, 20 cents excess mileage. Sorento NGO 92178, MSRP $30,875. Sportage N 7017-625, MSRP $25,815. Forte 8429506, MSRP $21,035. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Kia. Excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 10321. Dealer stock only.
It's time to call Doug and Colin Brown for your house. Looking to buy or sell a home in Mississippi? Rely on Doug and Colin Brown, $1 Million Realtors at Regency Realty in Mississippi. This father-son combo will help you find your next dream home. With decades of experience, Doug and Colin Brown put honesty, integrity, and clients first. Call Doug and Colin Brown in Mississippi at 901-598-9168. Regency Realty, 901-350-5050.
Hotty toddy Ole Miss.
Boom! That's a way to start it.
Wide open down the seam, caught, touchdown! Caught at the 20 by Braylon Sanders. He trots into the end zone, touchdown!
We run the ship. Corral is on a roll.
He's got it to the 20, to the 10, to the 5. Lane Kiffin throws his clipboard.
The Rebels battle Baylor in the Sugar Bowl on New Year's Day. Kickoff at 7:45 with pregame coverage starting at 5:30 on your home for the Rebels.
Catch Ole Miss Rebels football right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Need to sell your home? You're in luck because I buy houses. All you have to do is call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pin, 901-406-1101, or just save it in your phone. Bill at I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses buys houses in any area, in any condition, at any time. As simple as that. I Buy Houses is guaranteed to close in 5 days. So if you need your cash fast, just call Bill at I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. Has your house been on the market? Were you just tired of renters? Or is it just time to start over? Well, avoid repairing, cleaning, painting, and prepping your house. Just pick up the phone and call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses. If you're in Southwind, South Memphis, North Mississippi, North Memphis, Collierville, if you can hear this, just call my friend Bill at I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101.
Barks now offers you just about everything you need for your furry family member. Daycare, luxury boarding, award-winning grooming, veterinary checkups, diagnostic services including digital x-ray, fluoroscopy, and ultrasound, complete dental service, vaccinations, preventative care for fleas, ticks, and heartworms, and just about any needed surgical treatment. And did I mention that we treat cats and all types of exotic pets? We are the newest member of the Barks family and the newest, most high-tech veterinary hospital in the Mid-South. Located directly across the street from Barks and Recreation, we are a full-service hospital with a fantastic, experienced staff. If you're having problems getting a timely appointment at your current vet's facility, we are here to serve you. Call us at 901-979-8888. Barks and Medication. Excellence in veterinary care. Title sponsor of this hour is DeSoto Auto Sales. Online at DeSotoAutoSales.com. They are at 5704 Goodman Road in DeSoto County. Very proud to serve DeSoto County and the surrounding area. All the cars thoroughly examined, checked out bumper to bumper, head to toe. Unlimited inventory, every make, every model. And if it's not on the lot, they'll go find that special car just for you. No shortcuts taken, though. They'll treat you like family by kind, courteous employees, laid-back atmosphere, and they want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience. because they know we live in a world today that time really matters. You walk in, within 45 minutes, test drive your car, credit approved, paperwork completed, and you're out of there in 45 minutes or less. It's that simple at DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road, 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience you've come to know, love, and trust.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Welcome back in. Sports Time. Sports 56. Gabe Kuhn with you. Bryant Dacus, executive producer of the program. Producing the program. Doing a great job. 901-360-8255. Autos on listener line. Questions, comments, concerns. Send them in there. You can also watch us live and message us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and at sports56whbq.com. Also on sports56whbq.com, we have our featured audio. You can go back and listen to our podcast. Just go there, click on podcast. You can get all of the hours of all of the shows right there. Just giving away free stuff. That's what we like to do here at Sports 56. Now, have some updates on tonight's game, Tulane and Memphis. Memphis, of course, 6-4. Tulane 3-6 going into this one. This is from Jason Munz of the Commercial Appeal. Of course, the beat writer. We always talk to Jason Munz, usually every Friday. An update, we will be off Friday. So tomorrow will be our last show of the week. But
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to everybody. But Jason puts out today on Earl Timberlake and Chandler Lawson. They were listed as questionable. We know that DeAndre Williams and Jalen Duren did not make the trip because of COVID protocols. But Chandler Lawson and Earl Timberlake were listed as questionable. Jason says he believes, based on the conversations he had with sources earlier today, he'd be surprised if they didn't play. It's nothing official, so they're still questionable, listed as questionable, but we'll see come game time, and he thinks that they likely will. And that's something that we sort of had to expect. With all of the omissions tonight from the lineup, you're going to need all hands on deck. And whether they're on a minutes restriction, what have you, you probably need those guys. And I would imagine if Earl Timberlake does indeed suit up, he's going to have to be relied on for some heavy minutes tonight.
Yeah, and you know, both were very different injuries. I don't think Earl's was as serious as Chandler's, and so I really expected him to play tonight. And I think depending on how much that rehab has helped and worked, I think he might be in that starting role tonight that we talked about earlier. Who was going to start? I think you could see him go into that 2 or 3 role. That they'll be playing small, but
it's going to have to be a guard-heavy lineup.
It will definitely be a guard-heavy lineup.
That's what it's going to have to
but
be.
Also,
very wing-heavy, and Malcolm probably the big that you rely on for most of the minutes. I'm curious, though. I mean, we've seen who Penny likes to run out there.
Yeah.
Without DeAndre Williams, without Jalen Duren, who's going to be the big off the bench tonight? That's like Malcolm Dangerous. It almost seems like to have a guy doing the dirty work, getting all the rebounds for you, blocking shots, dealing with the guy, dealing with the other team's big. It seems like Malcolm's going to have to play near 40 minutes tonight. Probably be a 30-minute guy tonight.
Yeah, you're going to need a lot of minutes of him, but I think you're going to see a lot of small ball rotations, but also, kind of like we talked about earlier, you're going to hope that Tyler Harris, you saw him play out of his mind in a couple of those games before this COVID pause. You're going to hope that he has another great game, but then you're also going to look for some of these young guys, Josh Minot, Chandler Lawson. You're going to be wanting them to have those big games that a lot of people have, been waiting to see. Tonight's a big opportunity for them because I think both of them will get pretty good minutes.
Who becomes the guy that gives Malcolm Dandridge a blow? Is it Josh Minot?
I think it's Josh, yeah. And I think you're just going to have to go small.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting thing tonight. Luckily, the team on the other side is not all that good. Luckily. No. That's the good thing. And it makes it even tougher for them if they're going to be without Jalen Cook. Jalen Cook is their 16 points, or no, he's their 19-point scorer.
Yeah, he's great
per game. He's a really good player. He's a small guard though, and small
young
guard,
guy, yeah.
But small guards against the Tigers tend to struggle with some of the length that the Tigers throw out there. Tonight it'll be a little different. But Jalen Cook is questionable for tonight with a hamstring injury versus Memphis. If Tulane doesn't have him, it could be really tough for them. But this feels like a freaking replacement player game.
Yeah,
I mean, but
like I'm watching the NBA.
Yeah, it's something. But Rotations are going to have to be relatively deep for both teams if they want to go win the game. Now to the NBA and to the Grizzlies. Grizzlies tonight have a big one. They play the Lakers at home. Just came home from a 3-game road trip. Just beat the Suns. The Grizzlies did. Really good win. Probably their best win of the year.
Yeah.
Win of the year.
I felt like we've said that.
Well, we say it all
4 or 5 times.
We say that all the time. But the Lakers coming into this one, it's interesting. They just snapped a 5-game losing streak last night against the Rockets. And LeBron, in his 1,333rd regular season start, gets his first start at center at the 5. Won the jump ball last night against Christian Wood. That was an interesting thing. But he is probably going to play the 5 in all likelihood. They snapped that 5-game win streak against the Rockets, won 132-123. And LeBron at the 5, 32 points, 11 rebounds, 11 assists on 11 for 19 shooting, 3 for 5 from 3. This does not mean that he's going to be down low banging the entire night. That's not what that means. He'll still play on the perimeter. He'll still sort of be himself. But what it does is makes the Grizzlies, if they go with this lineup, last night it was Russell Westbrook, Avery Bradley, Malik Monk, Stanley Johnson, and then LeBron James. So that's a 4-guard lineup, and then LeBron James at the 5. It's going to make the Grizzlies uncomfortable to a certain extent. You're going to have to find the lineup you want out there to defend in that regard. I wonder how much run Steven Adams gets. Steven Adams has been very important the last two games, especially. A lot of offensive rebounds, a lot of assists. But you wonder with LeBron at the 5 and the mismatch they're trying to create, how much run he gets tonight.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it a little off the air. I mean, who do you put on LeBron? I mean,
there's a lot of ways. It's interesting because I think Jaren Jackson Jr.
I think you start with Jaren on him.
Is probably the guy you throw at him first, but then at the same time, him on the perimeter against LeBron and contesting some 3-point shots. I don't know how much I like that. It's just going to create an interesting dynamic in tonight's game if they go with that lineup. And that's the Lakers, I would imagine, after a 5-game losing streak, finally winning last night. I don't care if it's against the Rockets. It's an NBA game. It's an NBA opponent. I would imagine they go with that lineup.
Stick to what
and then also with that, I think with what they were doing in rotations last night, the Lakers, Carmelo Anthony was coming off the bench playing 5 to give LeBron a break.
Yeah.
So Grizzlies have been defensively really good, I'd say, past 10 to 15 games. But tonight is going to be a different animal altogether.
I wouldn't mind Steven Adams playing physical on Bron.
Yeah,
down low.
But here's the problem with you know the exact problem with that. As soon as LeBron sees that matchup, he stretches out. He gets on the wing and he does whatever he wants when he wants.
Yeah.
But for LeBron, that is, I know how impressive he is as a whole and what he's done in his career, how much he's done for charity, his philanthropic ventures, all of that. But on the court, to be able to get a triple-double playing the 5, and I know we're almost in positionless basketball in the NBA, pace and space, all that great grand stuff. But to have him able to play basically 1 through 5 and do it at the level he does, getting a triple-double at his first start at the 5, he never ceases to amaze me.
No. I mean, that's why he's in the conversation of the GOAT.
But last time the Grizzlies played the Lakers, they turned the Lakers over 22 times on the way to a 108-95 victory. And I think that's the biggest issue. When you look at the Lakers as a whole, they have turnover machines.
Oh, yeah.
Russell Westbrook turns the ball over ad nauseum. LeBron at times does the same thing. It's just, in theory, I thought the Lakers going to get Russell Westbrook made sense because AD constantly hurt, often injured. You have a guy that can get the production that is missing when AD or LeBron is out of the lineup. I understood that from the beginning, but it hasn't worked that way, has it?
No.
It has not been something that has just meshed well from day one They're still trying to find their way, and everyone just expects, okay, at some point during the season, here comes a switch. They're going to
figure it out, yep.
I have yet to see a reason to believe that, Bryant, and I don't know how you feel.
Well, and I remember saying this when they put this team together, is that my biggest question was you've got a lot of age on that team, and you've got a lot of guys that have a tendency, I won't say they're injury prone, but they have a tendency to get injured. Mm-hmm. And we've already seen this year AD's out right now.
AD is the main one, though.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron
has been out.
Besides the Solomon Hill rolling his ankle, high ankle sprain, he has been an Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
And he even
100%.
tries to push through injuries, too, all the time.
But my question is, you know, a lot of these guys are getting up there in age. They don't have the run they used to have. Are we really going to rely on all of these guys? I'm not talking about LeBron. You can rely on Bron anytime. But are we going to rely on a guy like Carmelo Anthony when we get down the stretch close to playoff time? I don't think so. Russell Westbrook hasn't looked great. There's obviously something going on there. So I don't know. Will they figure it out? I'm sure they will. I'm sure they'll be a playoff team. I'm sure they'll make a run in the playoffs. But I didn't have all the hype that everyone else had when this team was made.
Yeah. And I really did think that from a schematic standpoint, if all things are equal, if everybody's healthy, I thought Buddy Hield made sense. Although Buddy Hield lately, if you've been watching him play, he has been miserably bad.
I love Buddy Hield, though.
Yeah, he can shoot. He can shoot, but he's never seen a shot that he doesn't like. I mean, seriously, that guy, I mean, he can shoot. The other night he started out like 0 for 10, ended 5 for 18. Never even thought about stopping to shoot. I mean,
love it.
The green light on that guy, you got to appreciate it.
You know what they say, Gabe?
What?
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
That's false. That's false.
How's that false?
Because you're not missing them. You're not taking them. How does that make sense? Realistically,
you need to think deeper than that.
No,
Gabe.
I'm not going to think deeper than that.
It's okay.
No, because I think that's just a false statement altogether. I mean, it is what it is. Now on the Grizzlies side of things. We've seen a lot of good things. We really have. Desmond Bane, in the breakthrough he has made this year, you go look at his statistics: 17 points per game, 2 assists per game, 4 rebounds per game. But when visibly you watch him play, last year in his rookie year, spot up 3-point shooter. And I think JV. I'm always going to say this. I thought JV took up some of his opportunities, a lot of those players' opportunities. You look at Ja gets more opportunities this year. But when you watch Desmond Bane play, visibly watching him, putting the ball on the ground, distributing, doing all those types of things, he has taken, I mean, I did not expect this level of improvement. No,
and we talk about him all the time, just how much of an impact he can make without putting the ball in the hoop. And I think that's what they needed. They didn't need a guy that was going to come in and score 20 points a game.
And we've talked about it with several guys. With Drew Hill, we've talked about it with DeMichael Cole of the commercial appeal. Desmond Bane's on his way. And granted, you never know what comes up and what types of players become available on the trade market and everything else. Desmond Bane has put himself in a position where he looks like an untouchable for this team, the number 4 for this team, and maybe number 3, depending on what the plan is with Dillon Brooks down the road. And I only say that because right now, Dillon Brooks, the role that he has is offensive initiator, wing perimeter defender, and basically sort of the heart and soul of the team. When Ja and Jaren sort of become the heart and soul, become the captain, so to speak, the leaders in the locker room, I wonder how Dillon Brooks can adjust his role. I'm not saying he can't. I just wonder what that looks like.
Yeah. No, and that's a good question. I think we'll get more clarity once we get closer to trade deadline and kind of see, maybe they won't make any trades. I'm not saying they're going to make any trades at the trade deadline, but I think you get a better idea of what teams are looking to do when you get closer to trade deadline. But, I mean, Bane's been awesome. And, I just love thinking about when Bane got drafted. And all the talk about Bam when he got drafted. He's just a three-point shooter. He can't do anything. He's not physical.
He's old.
He's
right?
old. He's 24 coming out of, whatever. He has been awesome. And I kind of like veteran players coming into the draft. They know what they're doing.
Right. And
they're not kids.
What I appreciate about the Grizzlies front office, Zach Kleiman and company, and what they've decided to do in the draft, they're not going after necessarily. And they did this year with Zaire Williams, upside play, hardcore. But you haven't seen it every year where they're going for upside plays. They're going for guys that can play basketball. Brandon Clark, Xavier Tillman, right? Desmond Bain, guys that a lot of teams are passing up on because of their age, because of what their skill set is perceived to be. Grizzlies go after those guys because they say, well, you provide value to the team. That's all I care about.
Well, and I think the biggest thing between this regime and the previous regime is that this regime knows what they're looking for. They know the guys they're looking for. They go out and get them. And I think that's what opened it up this year to go get what they got this year in both Zaire and Santi. Those are both going to be guys that you're going to have to work on. They're not going to be able to go right into the NBA right then, but I think they've been able to get guys in the past, these older guys, that have been able to give them that opportunity that, okay, we can draft a high guy and wait on him. We don't need him immediately. We can, give him some time to develop. And so I think that's been the biggest thing. Also, these guys are great trade assets. I mean, maybe you don't use all these guys. You've got two guys in Tillman and Brandon Clark that both kind of play that similar role. I'm not saying they're going to get traded, but both of them are great trade assets.
And even a guy, and I know he's in a contract here, Kyle Anderson.
Exactly. Yeah.
He sort of fits that role. He's played really well at the 4, and for the most part, I think he's been okay at the 3. But you have sort of a logjam of guys that play similarly, and I know Brandon Clark, from a shooting perspective, has done absolutely nothing since his rookie year. But he still provides a role, and I think this year, I've talked about it this week, he has played more within himself this year than he did in his second year, in his sort of sophomore slump year. But the question I keep coming back to, and I heard this posed by Anthony Sane on Grind Time, on Sports 56 Grind Time from 1 to 3 with Peter. He posed it in the way of Ja and Jaren at their peak usage level. Can Dillon Brooks find a way to coexist in that regard? Because right now, Dillon Brooks is the guy that says, all right, I'll go out there and score and put up shots and initiate this offense. I'll put up 40 shots if I have to. I don't really care, and I'm going to play really hard on the defensive end. With Ja and Jaren taking up that level of production, can Dillon Brooks buy in? And I'm curious. Now, if he does, I heard this comparison made by C.J. Hurt yesterday on Grind Time when he was talking with Anthony. He said, why can't he be sort of and I know he's more offensively inclined than this guy, why can't he be the Draymond Green, the heart and soul of the team, the guy who has to buck up to some guys every once in a while, defensive stopper, a guy that pesters the other team, gets them out of their element. Exactly. Why can't he be that guy and still have some offensive prowess to him? Because I think if you unlock that, I mean, the sky's the limit for this Grizzlies team.
Well, and I think that's the biggest question is he going to be able to do that? Because I remember last year, maybe not as much, but the year before, a lot of people were saying, Dillon, you're taking a lot of shots that we don't need you to take.
Isn't it insane when you look back at the history of Dillon Brooks narratives that have gone through Grizzlies Twitter and the airways here in Memphis?
It's like a roller coaster.
I think it's stabilized, though.
It has.
I think everyone loves Dillon Brooks now. There was a learning process, though. There was a learning process.
Boy.
Because he was taking a lot of shots.
He was taking a lot of shots.
You wanted to see Ja get more opportunity, and Dillon Brooks was taking those opportunities. But, looking back on it, maybe it was a solid thing to take some of that pressure.
At the time, it might have been. Both those guys very young.
Away.
Yeah. But I think that's the question is he going to be able we know he has that in there, that tenacity of I want to just go out and shoot the ball. Is he going to be able to say, I don't need to take these shots. I need to, facilitate more. I don't, I'm a defensive guy. So I think that's a great question. I don't know.
And I'm still waiting. And I think everybody else, and this is the last thing I'll say about the Grizzlies before we get to our final break and then get into crunch time. I'm still waiting for the Jaren Jackson Jr. consistent play. I mean, it's just the process is showing some things. that you want to see, certainly, but the consistency still isn't quite there. I mean, and without Ja, with the level of usage he was getting, he was aggressive. He was learning, okay, I can finish at the rim.
Yeah.
I can go put my shoulder into the chest of Anthony Davis and finish at the rim when I want to. But then he sort of fell in love with that, and he wasn't shooting threes very well. He had a stretch of games, I think 4 or 5 games, where he didn't hit a single three-pointer. He was taking them, wasn't hitting them.
Yeah.
So finding that balance and that consistency for Jaren Jackson is, for the rest of this season, I think what a lot of fans and media members alike need to look for and are looking for. But we'll see tonight. Because it'll be an interesting matchup after what we saw with LeBron James last night playing the five. We'll see what lineup the Lakers try to run out there. But I would imagine it's going to be similar to what they did last night. When we come back, we put a wrap on this Wednesday edition of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Gabe and Stats.
Hi, everyone. This is Greg Gaston from Sports 56 Mornings. I want to send a heartfelt wish for a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy New Year to all our loyal listeners. And remember, when you wake up, please tune into Sports 56 Mornings with Eli Savoy and me. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Tire pressure light on? Tread low? Car sliding when you stop? It's time to go down to Milton on the Spot. Serving you at 3 locations: 1684 Getwell Road, 2127 Ellis Presley, and 3691 North Watkins. Memphis' largest supply of new and used tires, all under warranty. Yes, that's warranty on used tires too. Ask about the tire rotation and balance specials. Milton on the Spot on Getwell Road, Elvis Presley, or North Watkins. Here to take care of your every tire need. Milton on the Spot.
Susan, it's so great to finally be able to get together again.
Oh, it sure is. And I really appreciate you picking up the bill.
I'm happy to. I've got the extra cash. Since we've all been driving so much more again, I've been using Get Upside, the free gas app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Get Upside app?
Yes, up to 25 cents a gallon. Cash back every time I buy gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Some months I make $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Get Upside app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code PATH for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents a gallon on your next fill-up. You can cash out anytime to PayPal or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code PATH for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PATH.
Nothing says Happy New Year like getting the SUV, car, or truck you want to drive into 2022. Everything you want is here at the new Auto Universe Germantown. Have you heard about this? Nothing but the best. The finest vehicles you'll see in one place anywhere. Make it to the lot and showroom on Winchester just off 385. Auto Universe is a lot full of luxury automobiles like Lexus, Infiniti, Audi, Jeep, Mercedes, Nissan, Honda, Chevy, Toyota. And get this, no haggle pricing. If you're looking for a slightly driven, previously loved pre-owned vehicle, you got to see these at Auto Universe Germantown, and they tell me they're adding more by the hour. Or go to eautouniverse.com. Happy New Year from their family to yours. The only dealership you'll ever need. Unbelievable selection, simplified financing, top service technicians, even collision repair. Everything you want in one place. It's at 7300 Winchester, just off 385. Only the best make it here to Auto Universe Germantown. That's eautouniverse.com.
Say there was a place, the perfect place for everything you need for tailgates and patios. Grills and chairs, charcoal and coolers. Everything to make a great game or a great day. That perfect place wouldn't be a warehouse. It's East Memphis Ace Hardware. Locally owned and operated at Quince and White Station, East Memphis Ace Hardware is where you'll find Benjamin Moore paints, local plants from local growers, and Black & Decker tools. Around the block, what you need in stock with people who know their tailgates. Welcome to East Memphis Ace Hardware, the home convenience store.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! This is for all the biggest crunch time. You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins. It's obviously crunch time. Hammer
hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Bryant, what I learned today is that when we're talking about Carson Wentz hitting the COVID list, Sam Ehlinger is probably going to be the replacement. Frank Reich mentioned something today that I think a lot of us would be interested in. What he said is that the Colts have reached out to none other than Alabama high school football coach Phillip Rivers. Reached out to Phillip Rivers, man. My gosh. By the way, is one of his kids available for the NFL yet at this point? I mean, he's got like
close,
15 of them. I mean, he's got to be close, right?
You'd think.
I mean, good Lord. But reaching out to Phillip Rivers at this point in the game, man, you got to be desperate.
Oh.
You've got to be desperate.
I
can't imagine with just being on the COVID list and I can't imagine that Phillip Rivers would make a comeback on that short of notice. But, hey,
wild.
I could be wrong.
I don't know. Maybe he wants to get back into it.
I've always appreciated Phillip Rivers' trash talk. Have you ever heard him talk trash?
Oh,
it's a great
tackle
ever.
there.
Dadgummit! I love it.
Great. No, he's
love
awesome.
that stuff.
What I learned today is that the Tigers, they're going to be down more than a couple guys, about 3 guys, Imani, Jalen, and DeAndre. And so they're going to need the bench guys to step up. Tyler Harris. I hope Tyler Harris has a good game. I feel like I've talked about him a lot today. I hope he has another good game. I love to see what he's done. But they're going to need those guys to step up. They're going to need to force turnovers. They're really going to need – it's going to be a sloppy game. They're going to need to control the pace. But we'll see what happens. But they're going to really be missing those 3 guys.
What I could have done without today. One, the death of John Madden. Just a legendary. It won't be forgotten. Will not be forgotten. There's a name that there's a video game that dawns his name. All of the new generations of NFL football fans, of football fans in general, will know who John Madden is, and what he meant to the game cannot be measured. There's no question about it. So I could have done without that. Also, I could have done without this. Aaron Rodgers, in a presser today, said something I don't believe, even in the slightest.
Oh, what'd he say?
When he was asked about how long it will take him to make his decision after this season, as far as if he's going to go to another team, stay in Green Bay, blah, 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 get a new house. He said he won't take a long time. The one promise he'll make when it comes to his future is that he will not take too long after the season to decide it. He said it will not drag out for months and months. I'll tell you right now, Aaron, I don't believe you.
I don't believe you either.
I don't believe it at all. You're going to go on the Pat McAfee show like 15 times this offseason, and we will not have you will use coded language.
You wear shirts that try to point something out.
Anti-cancel culture things where you. But either way, for some reason, Aaron, after how this offseason played out, I forgive me for not believing you. I don't believe you.
I don't blame you for not believing him. What I could have done without today. What's today? Wednesday, 3rd straight day of hockey-related of what I could have done without.
Oh, gosh.
Get it right, hockey.
Okay, what?
The World Juniors, talked about it yesterday.
Yes.
Team USA had to cancel their game that day. Whole thing's been canceled now. Because of COVID, I think, I know Team USA had, I think there were a couple players on Team Canada who had, Team Canada, they have some players on their team.
Of course they do. Whoa. Of course they do.
Connor Bedard?
It's Canada.
Let me tell you real quick. This kid, Connor Bedard. I think that's how you say his last name.
Okay.
He is projected to be the number 1 pick in the 2023 draft. He's like 16 years old. Kid is amazing. He had 2 goals in a 1 minute and 11 second time span yesterday in their game. He's ridiculous. If you like hockey, or if you're trying to get into hockey, check this kid out. He is going to be the next big thing.
What we're looking forward to tonight. We actually have some college. I know we have 30 games affected by COVID, but we have 3 top 25 matchups tonight in college basketball. Tennessee versus Alabama, 14 versus 19. You have LSU versus Auburn, 16 versus 11. And Seton Hall versus Providence, 15 versus 21. Do you have any plays on those?
I do not. I have not had time to handicap
you're my
any of those
college
games.
basketball
I know.
handicapper. What are you slacking,
Well, usually
bro?
I wait till after the show to get those games in.
You're slacking, man. What is going on?
I apologize. I'm
Golly.
so sorry. Tomorrow I'll have picks. Don't worry.
We do have one game in the NBA postponed. Heat versus Spurs has been postponed because of COVID. Surprise. But also we're looking forward to the Lakers and the Grizzlies tonight in FedEx Forum. And as far as football is concerned, we have a game going on right now.
Yeah, we do. It's a snooze fest.
It's 3-3 in the second quarter.
Iowa State missed a field goal. I don't know if you saw that.
But keep your eye also 14-16 tonight. 2 coaches on the way out. There's coachless teams, Oregon and Oklahoma. Should be a good game in the Alamo Bowl, but every time that there's opt-outs and coaches leaving, you know how that goes. But that's all we have for today. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to Alex Kuhn, Barrett Jones, Brett for joining us from New Orleans, and also Kevin Sweeney for their contributions to the program. For Brett, for Bryant, I'm Gabe. Remember, we'll be out on Friday. Tomorrow will be our last show, but enjoy your night. We'll holler at you tomorrow at 3.
Santa's ready to put you in a new sleigh today at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike, and Rudolph's got a new